motion drills. Tyus Bowser has a chance to be a very good player, and there's a chance he's not even there at 28.
Before we go back out here, I want to throw a wild card in the mix because we talk about edge rushers and corners. Dane brings up best player. What if there's a guy who hasn't run a 40 yet for NFL teams, and he played at a small school?
Western Michigan.
Corey Davis, Western Michigan. Yeah. What about in fantasy land? He makes it to 28. You don't need a receiver, but I think he's a top 10 player.
As long as the medical staff signs off, you take him.
You
have to. I mean, I know you brought back Terrence Williams, and you have Cole Beasley in the slot, but he's too good to pass up there. And as long as the ankle is okay and the medical staff gives you 2 thumbs up, you pull the trigger. But it kind of scares you. Why is he at 28? I mean, he's not the 28th best player. So what the first 27 teams, what do they know that you don't know?
All right, we will go to our next question. Who's it going to be? Front right's closest to the mic. He wins. Sorry.
So I know this is the week of hearing a lot of smoke thrown at you, a lot of lies being tossed around. What's the most outrageous thing we've heard this week? What's out there that you can say that's just a bunch of malarkey?
I heard a week ago that Leonard Fournette was in consideration at number 1 overall. Yeah. That was a bunch of malarkey.
Even at 2, that's crazy.
You said that today on the draft show. Did you wake up and somebody told you that Dobbs would be
Nick Shea said that today.
Oh, yeah, Josh Dobbs, first round.
Josh Dobbs, quarterback from Tennessee.
First round.
Would be a first-round guy. So
I've heard the whole time Jabril Peppers is going in the first round.
Yeah.
That should be a lie.
That's actually going to happen, though.
Even Tennessee homers would be like, no way.
No, Tennessee homers would be the first ones to tell you, no shot. I mean, first round? Come on. I mean, I get it with Josh Dobbs. You spend 5 minutes with him, and you love the kid. I think if there's anyone who could take advantage of what Dak Prescott did, it's Josh Dobbs because physically it's all there. Size, he's an athlete, he has the arm, but just the decision-making, the accuracy, it's off. But a team can say, okay, you know what? The foundation traits are there. Let's take a shot at him. I think he ends up in the 3rd round, which is still earlier than we would take him. But yeah, first-round talk is nuts.
Next one. Right over here in the front row. Our microphone is coming to you. Oh, okay, we'll come across this way in a minute. There we go.
Yeah, I saw you got Marlon Humphrey listed as a strong safety. What traits do you guys look forward to see if a cornerback can make the transition? And would you say that's really what we're looking for in the system is a strong safety because Byron's got the free locked up?
You know, with Marlon Humphrey, I would like to try him at corner first. The issue with him is ball tracking. He's better off when the play's in front of him than he is when it's behind him. But, you know, the aggression's there. He's a really good tackler. I'd like to try him at cornerback, and Dane was on with this earlier, mentioned the exact, you know, speed and size that you would covet for a cornerback. But the ball tracking skills are very frustrating with him. It makes you really wonder if he could do that. So that's one of the things that makes you, like, you see how he would be comfortable as a safety when he can see the field in front of him.
And break things.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because not every – I think it's just kind of common practice. Well, this guy kind of struggles at corner. Let's move him to safety.
Right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always work, but I think that there are several candidates in this class. Desmond King from Iowa.
Desmond King, yes.
I think he's a prime candidate. He's a 4 or 5 athlete.
I think the Sutton kid from Tennessee might be a corner prospect.
I think Quincy Wilson.
Quincy Wilson,
Florida. Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the thing you got to know about the Cowboys, though, the safeties are interchangeable. So you can't just say one has this and the other has this. They have interchangeable. They're interchangeable. So if you walk Byron down to play him as the extra linebacker when they play their single high stuff, then whoever plays the other safety has to be able to do the same thing. They'll play a lot of dime on you too, and they'll put Byron in the slot. If you've got a guy, and I think this is what teams are going to go to, if you have a corner that's a bigger guy that can play inside, you can match people. You don't have to match a big guy with a Cole Beasley. You can match a big guy with a tight end and then play coverage that way. The way that we'll probably get into these tight ends in the draft too. I mean, somebody will ask a question about should they draft one, you know. I mean, it's like big wide receivers. I mean, you talk about the kid at Ole Miss or talk about the Miami guy, Njoku. I mean, these guys get down the field. So you better be able to match them with big players, but you also need to match them with guys that can cover. And I think that's why a lot of teams are willing to take a guy and not just say, okay, he can't play corner, but let's take his corner skills and put him at safety and see what he can do.
When you said the name there, you brought up Marlon Humphrey, but you mentioned Desmond King. I actually would love to have him as a Cowboy because you talk about what the Cowboys do. A lot of times Byron Jones is on the field, and you think of him as a free safety, but like you said, he could be in a slot, he could be covering a tight end, and they would have Byron Jones, Barry Church, J.J. Wilcox. They'd have them all on the field.
Yeah.
So you could easily take a safety. You could take two safeties.
Yeah.
Right.
And be in a spot where Byron kind of gives you that versatility.
Yeah, combination. What you got to remember about strong safeties in this league, and this is where Peppers is going to have problems, in my opinion, is because, and Jeff tweets about this a lot, you see him play backwards. You see him around. Playing down in the box is not a strength for him. He's a great athlete, though. I mean, you could see the athletic ability. But the problem is when you're a down box safety, you're a B-gap player. And when I mean a B-gap player, A gap between the guard and the center, B gap between the tackle and the guard. So you're an extra linebacker in that spot. If you're playing backwards, you're going to have problems. You have got to be physical enough to stand in there, take on blocks. That's why guys like Wilcox and Church can make it, especially Barry Church, because he can play down in that B gap and not get engulfed in blocks.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much throw out free safety, strong safety. You want safeties that can do both, and I think it's the same.
You want a physical guy.
Yeah, a physical guy who's an athlete who can. Yeah. All safeties are going to get beat. I mean, they're all good athletes, but there's a reason they're at safety, not corner. I think the same with tackle. I mean, I think you can throw out left and right tackle. You want guys that can play either or. I mean, in today's NFL, the pass rusher on one side is just as good as the other. So,
right. They'll move them around too.
Right. It's not like it used to be where you want that, the big, strong mauler at right tackle. You need pass protectors left and right side.
All right, let's go to the next one right here in the front. Two from the middle, if we could.
How much confidence do you have in Jeff Heath as being your strong safety, or do we need to be targeting a safety there?
Yeah, I think that's the question. I think what really Rod Marinelli wants to do is he wants to rotate those safeties like he did last year. It protected guys from having to play a large number of snaps to get exposed. The one thing that Jeff has done is that he's figured out, Jeff's an extremely smart player, but he's figured out how to position himself to A, tackle, and B, be a turnover guy, when interceptions and stuff. I think he really turned the corner. He was awful in the Detroit game several years ago, and everybody wanted to get rid of him. And then later they played, next year he played against Green Bay in the playoffs, the Dez game where no catch. And he was outstanding covering then. And I think Jeff Heath, that was when the things really turned the corner for him. I think they want to get Heath involved. I think they want to get Frazier involved, Shirley, Byron Jones involved, and add somebody else. And I think you're going to, whoever the fourth guy is, I think you're going to continue to see a rotation there. I just don't feel like that they're going to say, okay, these are our two corners, and that's it. They want to get as many guys on the field and get, in case of injury, that they can have guys ready to play. That's why Anthony Brown, last year at this time, we were talking about Anthony Brown as a third-round guy from Purdue. They take him in the 6th round. But what happened to Anthony Brown? Once Mo got nicked up again, once Scandrick got nicked up, then Anthony Brown had to play. So to answer your question, yeah, he's involved, but whoever that fourth guy is to draft, I feel like that they're going to get all four of those guys on the field at some point in time.
All right, next one here. Me pointing probably didn't help, huh? The second row on the end there, and then we'll come right back over here to the front.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
So I've heard you talk about this on the draft show, and I was just curious.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Great show. If we were looking at 28, and you did come down to, let's say it's Watt or Harris, for the Cowboys, are you looking at them saying, okay, I know the depth on the defensive line already and a couple good all-around players, and we may consider Watt to be a better all-around player, whereas you look at Harris as maybe a better pure pass rusher? For this team, who do you think they would look at and why?
KT, take that one.
Well, I'm not as high on Charles Harris as everyone else. I mean, I could see Charles Harris going top 20. I think T.J. Watt, I do think there's a little bit of right kind of guy situation happening too. Charles Harris freaks me out because I don't think he's a tough player. Like, I see a guy that when an offensive lineman gets their hands on him, he's back 10 yards. I don't see a guy who's an effective every down player. I think T.J. Watt could do that for you. So I think they're going to love both players, and it may come down to just who's there for you. It might just be that. I like Watt more than Harris, though.
I think Harris is more athletic on tape than he measured when he worked out.
Yeah.
And for TJ,
He's been a bad workout guy, though. His workout numbers at Missouri have not been good.
right. You watch him
Tape is
play, and you
better.
see the first step,
Yeah.
and you see, oh, Rod Marinelli's really going to like this, and you think that is a pass rusher that Marinelli's going to like. And with TJ Watt, there is a little bit of projection when it comes to calling him a pass rushing defensive end, but I put a little bit of stock into his combine because when you watch him play, I feel like they're really coached up at Wisconsin to sort of be reactionary and engage a tackle and push pull, and you can
Snatch.
see that he's so refined as a player at getting off blocks and all that. And you see the way he measured athletically, and he's sort of become my dream pick at 28 because I think you project that to when you just put him in a spot where they're really going to be like, hey, go get him.
It's funny, you call him refined. He's been playing the position basically a year.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was a tight end.
He was a tight end when he went to Wisconsin. He played quarterback in high school. They moved into defense in 2015, and he didn't start in 2015. He had like 7 tackles, and then this past year got a chance to start, had 11.5 sacks, really impressive. And then he goes to the combine, blows it up with his athletic testing. I'm with you. I mean, give me T.J. Watt on this team, and I think everyone's happy. I mean, I think Rod Marinelli's the happiest.
I think to your point, though, and I think you said the word more of a complete. I think when you're talking about, to KT's point as well, Harris will maybe give you a better pass rush, but Harris can't give you the run play stuff too. So can I have a guy that can play the run but get to the quarterback and be effective doing it? I think that, like Jeff was talking about as well, the technique, when you watch Watt and Wisconsin and Beagle on the other side too. I mean, they have 2 outside linebackers that really, they both play. I mean, it's like watching the Rockettes dance at Radio City Music Hall, the way they move, because they do the same thing technique-wise. And, I like the fact of Watt. I wasn't really warmed up to him initially, but when you look at potentially what could be there at 28, he would be the best option there, in my opinion. But again, the upside on Harris is, though, Missouri's done a pretty good job of putting these rushers. If you guys remember Coney Ely, Carolina and stuff like that. So I mean,
right.
I would kind of keep an eye on these Missouri kids.
Jeff, you said that T.J. Watt's kind of your dream pick for 28. Would you trade the 3rd to move up 8-9 spots to make sure you get him?
No. This is
Coward.
I'm not a coward. I'm not going to do it because I'm picking a starter with that.
I don't think he's going to be there at 28.
I'm picking a starter with that 3rd.
In your last mock draft, you had him 21 to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah.
No, I think in this.
How do you like Burnett?
I think you're talking
Tennessee.
I think you're talking about the wrong side of the field with Derek Barnett. Like, to Dane's point, I think
so.
most,
I mean, would that
most,
be a guy you move up for?
Hell no. I think to Dane's point, most teams that run a 4-3.
This was a fight we had.
I think most
You're
teams.
moving up for the Michigan State guy?
No, I'm not moving up for anybody.
Okay.
I'm letting it fall in my lap, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to pick an awesome player. But like Barnett, when you say a lot of times both ends, forget left or right. In Dallas,
McDowell,
there's a left and a right.
Yep.
McDowell?
In Dallas, no. I'm talking about Barnett.
Yeah.
I think in Dallas, that dude's a left defensive end.
Barnett.
Yeah, I don't. And what they
where
want
do you have
and
McDowell?
what they value.
This is the argument we had the other night.
McDowell's a monster. McDowell's one of the 10 best players in the draft.
5 best players.
That
I
might
knew
be
the fight
true.
wasn't finished.
5 most talented.
I knew the fight wasn't finished.
Yeah,
the other
Broaddus
night.
got a little.
I knew it.
Can we say butthurt on Facebook Live? So we almost kicked his guy Barnett out of the first round.
Yeah.
And he
We
tried
tried.
to kick our guy McDowell out of the first round. And thanks to the beauty of democracy, I believe Malik McDowell ended up ahead of Derek Barnett on the board. And so that's
But
democracy.
noted that I had Barnett. I had him ahead of McDowell. And it'll be
It's a team.
Yeah.
It's a democracy, sir.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see how McDowell plays. And he could very well be a pick at 28.
What position do you have McDowell at?
We had him at left defensive end.
Okay.
Oh, why are you looking
I
at me that
had,
way?
I had him at 3 technique. But,
Okay.
again, democracy. We call that position flex.
Well, he'll
Dane.
play
But he
everywhere
can do
here.
just about everything.
He's playing everywhere.
Yeah.
Where would you play him? At the 3 technique or or left defensive end?
Both.
Oh, jeez.
What a coward's answer from Dane.
He can do both.
These poor folks have come here to get knowledge.
Oh, Dane.
And we got a bunch
It's
of
the right
cowards
answer.
up here.
If a player can do both, why wouldn't you play him at both?
No, I
Because
understand.
then you're playing with 10
Solomon
players.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Where's
absolutely.
Solomon Thomas' best position?
Both. Absolutely.
I think his three technique's his best position.
I think you play him as a base end, and then you move him inside on passing downs. And I mean, he's the type of guy that offensive lines struggle to account for. And so you play him at both spots, and you're going to do some damage.
Who's a better three technique, Allen or Solomon Thomas? Allen from Alabama.
Allen,
yeah.
I love Solomon Thomas, but when's the last time you saw?
Allen's an adult. Solomon Thomas isn't an adult.
When's the last time you saw a 270-pound three technique?
Never seen it.
But watch him go second overall to San Francisco. Does that scare you a little bit?
Terrifies me.
Scare me. I mean, no, I think
Well,
there's
I'm
a good
not a
shot he
49er
goes
fan, so
at
no.
number 2. But
yeah,
I think
that's what I'm saying. If you were at San Francisco, would you take him at 2?
They went out of that pick.
They're getting the heck out
They
of
went
there.
out of there.
Oh, they went out bad. But he'd be on the short list, absolutely. You can make an argument he's, after Myles Garrett goes 1, Solomon Thomas is, and look, the 49ers, they're starting a brand new regime. You want a safe player as much as you want an impact player. And I think Solomon Thomas is
How about
right
a coach
there.
that coaches for more than a year? That would be good, too.
That'd help.
Yeah.
I think that's why Shanahan got a 6-year deal.
By the way, that GM deserved to get fired last year.
He did.
Well, you
Yeah.
ran out of a
He
good
ran
coach
out
out
of
of
great
town.
coach.
You're an
Yeah.
idiot.
He deserved to get fired.
So let's hire the broadcaster.
Yeah.
The broadcaster goes to the broadcast and goes, when you get a guy who can move like that, yeah, you want to have that guy. Of course you want to have that guy, John. But
John-
he's GM and a nice guy by all accounts.
John is the
Shout out to
Stanford
John.
guy, too, by the way.
John's watching on Facebook Live. John Lynch.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Here's what's going to happen, because Jeff had a point a minute ago. We're going to get your questions. What's going to happen? But Jeff had a point a minute ago. It said, at 28, I'm picking an awesome player. Here's why. Because all these quarterbacks are going to go. At 2 and 3, you're going to get quarterbacks picked. Watch it happen. Watch San Francisco trade out at 2.
Cleveland
You're gonna
comes
move
up
on
to
down.
2.
Heard it here
Could be
first.
Cleveland. Could be Cleveland. Chicago's going to take
he's-
quarterback
yeah.
at 3. You're going
Yeah.
to get your quarterbacks taken. And all these players are going to fall to you. And you're going to be sitting there going, yes, first round grade at 28. And I keep my pick at 92. That's how it's going down.
Let me ask
Happens
you this.
every year.
Let me ask you this, though. To get out of the round, if you wanted to get out of 28, what are you going to need there?
How far back are we going?
Well, let's go to Cleveland at 33.
Oh, I'll do that, yeah.
That'll get you a 4th-round pick.
No, I'll do that.
Are you going to hold him up for more? We were talking about maybe holding him up for more. You want a 3rd?
You're not getting the first pick in the 3rd round. That's not
come on,
happening.
Dane. Help me out.
Nope. Not happening. I'll give you the first pick in the 4th.
So I
That's,
guess-
that's a valuable pick.
That's a valuable
Sold.
pick because it starts the 3rd day.
Starts day 3.
Yeah,
That's
that
why
is
you
a
get
valuable
Tapper.
pick. Yeah. Okay. Are we? What do we need though? If Dallas wants to bail at 28, I'm sorry, I'm taking this over here. If Dallas wants to bail at 28, what do you need to have there for them to be able to bail? What's somebody coming for?
A quarterback.
A quarterback. So
quarterback
if you're a
Davis
fan,
Webb.
if you're a Cowboy fan,
Yeah,
do
Davis
you want
Webb.
all those quarterbacks to go early to drive players, or do you want all the quarterbacks to be still on the board when Dallas picks if you're interested in
I
bailing?
want 4 to go and then somebody to be dumb enough to trade up for Davis Webb. That's what I want.
Someone's like, hey, I got
want
to get in
somebody
front
to
of
be dumb enough
Pittsburgh.
to pick Kaiser and then somebody else dumb enough to trade up for Webb.
Is someone dumb enough to trade up for Webb?
No.
Hell,
I can't
come get
see
Peterman.
It can't happen.
Come on,
right?
it's time.
No one's gonna do.
Well,
that.
hell, McShay said Dobbs is going, so come get Dobbs.
Look, there's gonna be
There's 11 quarterbacks going.
3 quarterbacks. I think will be off the board by pick 28. But Kaiser, I think there's a good shot he's still there, and
I don't think people come up for Kaiser though.
probably not unless you're. It's a game of musical chairs. And if
Fifth
you're
year,
left
baby.
without a
But
quarterback,
see, that's what I want to know is if you're a Cowboy fan, do you want all the quarterbacks there to give you a chance to give you the flexibility to move?
I
Yeah,
kind of
you
want
do.
one to be left because I want somebody to want that 5th-year
Mahomes?
option.
Right.
Mahomes?
Yeah, that'd be great if he was there.
Hey, I don't think he's gonna
Seems
do that.
far-fetched
Yeah.
these days. Texas
You said
Tech
3 in the
quarterback.
top 28, and that's
Top 27, yeah.
We got a dude that backpedals better than corners.
Exactly.
That's going to get picked
That's
in the top
Mahomes.
27. Goodness gracious.
I mean, we're comparing Brett Favre out there. It's
Okay.
craziness.
All right. Next question. Where were we
Guns up.
going? We were going right here. This is where in the front. Now we're going to, I swear the other rows exist. We're coming back.
We're a one mic station here. Is that what we're on? We have to use all our mics, right?
Oh, we got 2 mics?
Oh, we got some mics? Okay.
we're all divas. Oh, Steven's got a mic over there, and Reed does.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Let's
hey,
go.
Hey guys, Tyler from Poolville.
Hey,
Oh,
Tom.
my guy.
Oh, Pooville.
Yeah. Given the recent struggles in the 2nd round, would it not be wise just to get out of the 2nd round
No.
and maybe use
Pooville. Not,
maybe use the pick to get a guy like Butler or Sherman if that's even possible?
I think what would be wise in the 2nd round would be to pick a football player.
pick a better player.
What's been happening in the 2nd round is that, and this happens to a lot of teams, is that you have somebody that falls that every other team doesn't want to pick because they screwed something up or they broke something or whatever it is, and Jerry Jones can't pass it up. because they get to their pick, and everybody in the room, he's like, hold on. Well, who's that there in the top? Hell, that's a first-round grade, ain't it? And they're like, yeah, it is, Jerry.
That's actually pretty good.
But he also couldn't not smoke weed at the combine, his job interview. Hell, it's a 1, though. And so they're like, well, crap. Screwed up, and that's why he's still there. What about the dude that's there because he's an inch too short and a tick too slow? Pick Desmond King at 60.
Good football player.
Pick a football player at 60 instead. You're going to go to bed that night with the dream that you fixed all your problems because 59 people passed on this dude even though he's talented. I think that's where they hurt themselves in too, is injured guys, drug, whatever it is, that they try to get first-round value instead of just picking up Gavin Escobar. Fire everybody. Just fire them all. My speech is over.
Let me ask you this, though. Would you consider taking Sidney Jones at 2?
That's tough.
You're coming in here.
Because remember, this
question
2
of
is
the
not.
day.
I heard a lot of ooh.
It's
Like,
not
okay,
the-
so-
what Chris Arnold back there? I know that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like Fabian Moreau tore a pec, right?
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with that.
Well, he's a PUP guy.
You
You might not have him for the first 6 weeks of the season.
That's fine.
Him and Tack McKinley both.
And Achilles, you're redshirting, 1, most likely.
Oh,
I'm not going to see you this year.
Sidney Jones said over the weekend he will be ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, I don't care what
He said his
the
doctor
player
told
said.
him that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's the best
Doctors he
Achilles
have.
replacement ever.
Jalen Smith said the same thing, too.
Exactly.
Hey, just wait. Jalen Smith's going to kick butt this year.
Hope so.
Ask his Twitter account.
Yep.
I believe it.
All right, what
But
you
no, let me
Broaddus?
ask you this. Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Would you take, how about if you wanted to take another position, would you take Jake Butt from Michigan?
That's a little different because that was a clean ACL. Like, there's a good shot he's ready for training camp.
You can't pass up a guy named Bud on your team. It's a bit. You got to do the bit.
We're not doing bits in the second.
We're picking real players.
You
Sorry.
pick Steelhammer in the 7th if you want to do a bit.
Oh, come on. There's nothing better than a Weston Steelhammer in the
Gotta have
7th.
That's a
Steelhammer,
good
too.
name.
If you get Bud and Steelhammer, now we're talking. Best draft
Are we
ever.
still talking about football?
Yeah.
Broaddus, are you taking Sidney Jones in the 2nd?
I'm probably not. I'm probably not. But I was throwing it out there because is that where you're going to have to take him?
No,
Because I think people are talking about him potentially being a third-round player.
He won't be there.
Because
at, what,
okay, let me
92?
ask you this. You talked about you're against taking Tim Williams because you said you don't want to deal with all the headaches. He's probably the second.
I'm a lot like Jerry. I'm like, wait, that says first
Wait a minute,
round next to Tim's name.
Are you crawfishing on me right now?
No,
You
a
swim
little bit.
backwards?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tim Williams in this draft, if anybody didn't know, is the second best pass rusher in this draft. Am I speaking out of turn there?
Uh-oh.
Second best? You wouldn't say that?
I don't know. I struggle with him because he was a pass rush specialist.
You're hating.
So
Nick
he's.
Saban
It's because it was
tell you he's a-
Alabama. They had 50 dudes that could play the run. They just didn't have to
You
let
want to
him
take a
do it.
guy that started 2 games in his career?
Yes.
Played 28
Well, you're
snaps,
back
averaged
on track.
28 snaps a game.
You just told me they're going to take Trubisky, only played 13
no.
as quarterback, the most important position.
Well, okay, but we're talking about a pass rusher with a lot of issues here. And
Okay.
Is Randy Gregory part 2? What's Randy Gregory doing for this team?
Boy, that scares you, doesn't it?
My guy
Absolutely.
passed
It
at
should
the
scare,
combine.
it should
Did
scare
it scare
everyone.
you the first time when they were thinking about it?
With Gregory?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the 2nd round, I think we were all okay with it.
Well, wait a minute. Why are you not okay with Tim Williams then?
Because how'd Randy Gregory work out?
Okay.
Well, Jerry's going to get the rules changed.
Yeah.
So we're going to
He
be good.
is.
If you can do that.
Bring him
If
on
they-
down.
if they
420.
pick-
Let's get some sacks.
If they pick Tim Williams, get ready because it means Jerry's changing the rule.
Yeah.
What player would you? We've talked about a bunch of guys like, potentially Basham, guys like that might be those 2nd-round defensive ends. What player would you take though that off the beaten path? I mean, I tried to name a couple of guys like Butt and guys like that. Jones. Is there somebody that you would take that doesn't fit, is not a defensive end or is not a corner or not a safety? One of those offensive guys.
Duke Riley.
Give me Adam Shaheen.
Oh, yes.
Hey, we know this team likes 2nd-round tight ends.
Yeah.
You can't completely rule that out.
And you say the word Ashland and everybody just panics.
This fan base is ready to freak out.
They don't necessarily pick
He's a great-
lot of
he's a
guys
really good player, though.
from schools that
true.
they got to play against
true.
high schools, which was weird to
Right.
watch him on tape play against high schoolers.
You would take a chance on Jake Butt before you would Shaheen, wouldn't you?
Nope. Give
You
me
would?
Shaheen.
You take Shaheen over Butt?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, guys,
You've done the work.
Guys are 6'6", 270 pounds, run 4.7s. They don't grow on trees, and Jake Butt's not that. I like Jake Butt. He's a solid player.
Yeah.
I'll take the higher upside guy. But, I mean, that's me. The Cowboys aren't doing that. But let's look at safety. Marcus Williams in the late 2.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about free safety, strong safety. You want him to do both. Marcus Williams, he's a true center field type. He's a free safety. He's not the guy that's going to come up and necessarily lay the wood like you want a strong safety to do. So would he be comfortable? Would this team be comfortable with a talent like that?
If we're going safety, let me go my guy against your guy. Marcus Williams, Marcus May. Florida. Safety.
Give me the guy that's going to create turnovers, and that's, to me, Marcus Williams. I like Marcus May. He's a solid player. Marcus Williams, there's only 2 players.
He's the second best single high safety in this draft.
Right. There's only 2 players that have at least 5 interceptions the last 2 seasons, and Marcus Williams is one of them. I mean, he creates turnovers. He makes an impact. Marcus May is a solid player. I think he can start in this league, and I think he fits that. Is he a free? Is he a strong? He's a little bit of both, but he will have his issues as well. I mean, if you guys watched the Tennessee tape, I mean, that Josh Malone touchdown, that was all on May.
Yeah.
But he had some nice plays there too. So I have a third on May. What do you guys have in the second?
Yes.
We have him in the second, the bottom of the second.
Where do you have Marcus Williams?
Third.
In the third.
Okay. So you guys take May.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take Buda Baker.
Sure.
Let the NFL pass on Buda Baker 59
That's
times.
not happening.
That would be awesome.
That's not going to happen either.
They're not all that dumb.
All right, next question. You want
Wait,
to?
I worked with a few, yeah.
I saw back left first.
Okay, hold on. KT's making the calls here. Hold on. We got to
Hey,
direct
if you
people
want
to
make
you.
the calls. Oh, Morgan's going to mic too. Okay. We have 3 mics now.
No, we only have 2.
Oh, just 2 mics.
Two
We're 2 mic
live
team.
mics.
So Reed is back there
Two
kidnapping
live
that guy, and
All right, so I'm going to keep stirring the pot. The conversation is going the perfect way for me to ask this. Every year, it seems like there's a guy that is a top 10 talent that ends up slipping out of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a guy that, if you're the Cowboys at 28, you give up whatever you have to get if they slip out of the top 10 to get?
don't think so.
Who could be the slider?
I mean, of the legit sliders, I guess one could be Reuben Foster.
Right.
And then Malik McDowell would be, I think, the other guy. I don't even know if that's a slider.
It's a
even.
position, though, you don't need.
I saw Malik Hooker slide to 17 in a mock today.
Hooker.
How the hell did that happen?
We need to check the medical on Hooker there. There
yeah.
might be something that we need to figure, and I'll get that. We'll figure that out for the draft.
This team is not one player away. We'd all agree, right?
If they need, I'll tell you what, though, if they needed a running back and Cook started sliding, I'd sure consider it.
Why? There's
Florida State.
there's a better running back that would be available.
Well, you're okay. Yeah, Mixon.
yeah?
But no, but
Joe Mixon, he's the best running back in the draft. If you're going to pick one,
no, I understand what you're saying about Mixon. I get that. But the guy that people
could slide.
that could slide in this draft, Mixon, we understand the situation. We all get that. But if there's a sliding player, I think it might be Cook. Am I wrong about that?
No, he might not go
Because
first round.
people were talking. Yeah, you're saying he might not go the first round.
Oh yeah, running backs that test like he did, they don't go first round.
Boy, that film was good though.
Trust the tape.
Do we need to? Okay, I thought we needed to change the name of the podcast.
No. Cook's my number one running back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think he goes first round because teams trust a lot of teams trust the athletic testing.
I just want to let you guys know I'm starting a new podcast tomorrow called Watch the Workout. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to be kind of the same.
Obi Melifonwu goes number 1 overall on KT's podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
That'd be real bad for me. Okay, other slide. If you said Malik Hooker, though, I mean, if that's a legit thing,
Yeah.
you would have to consider that,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's-
especially on this team.
There are 2 players in this draft, in my opinion, who are true game changers. And that's Myles Garrett and Malik Hooker. And if you feel okay with the medicals, and that's where you have to trust the training staff.
Trust the training staff is
that's
our
a good
other
one.
podcast.
One of my
next
doctor
one.
friends have started that one.
Look, he started every game this year. He started all 13 games, but the 2 surgeries in January, we haven't seen him work out the pre-draft process.
Yeah. Let me ask you this about these safeties, Adams and Hooker both, and Adams being an LSU guy, so please give me a little leeway here being an LSU alum.
You can homer it up all you want. That's a top 5 player too.
Okay, what can Hooker do that Adams can't?
Center field.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jamal Adams can't do it. I'm saying
then
the
on the
range
flip
that
side-
Malik Hooker shows us, Jamal Adams doesn't have.
On the flip side, though, can Hooker do everything that Adams can do?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I feel like maybe Adams is a safer player.
Yep, he's a higher floor.
Yeah.
Now explain that to folks. That's a term you explained today on the draft show. I appreciate doing it. Can you explain to folks what you mean by higher floor, ceiling, those things?
No, I mean, I think they have a good sense of, floor being where a player is right now, who he's.
You think Adams is where he is?
Where he is right now, I guess I should put it this way: you're more excited about Jamal Adams' floor than you are excited about his ceiling. I mean, I think he can get better. He will get better.
Because his floor is a 2-contract good starter.
Right, exactly. Who he is right now, you're excited about. But I think with like Malik Hooker, you're excited about that ceiling where he could be. Yeah, when you start throwing around Ed Reed comparisons, I mean, we don't see that a lot. So, yeah, these safeties, we don't really see safeties go top 5. But with these two guys, just get them on my team. I mean, they can be impact.
See, that's going to be the argument in war rooms around the country is with Adams and Hooker, who can do more of, I don't see Hooker, and I love Hooker, but can he do – obviously I love Hooker.
Can we save that?
Yeah.
Cut it up?
53-year-old man loving hookers. That's what I do. But
it's tougher to bumble at 53.
Yeah, anyway. you tried to teach me how to do that stuff, and I really haven't got it down yet. But
nothing comes without a cost.
Yeah, exactly. The draft breaks during the draft room. But no, people are going to argue that Adams is really. You talked about the complete player. Can he play the center field? Can he play down? Can Hooker play down? Can Hooker do other than play the center field stuff? Can Hooker be physical enough like Adams can?
Maybe eventually.
I think he can.
See, that's going to be the argument in war rooms, and that's why that maybe, and withstanding even the medical stuff, maybe you'll see Adams go before Hooker.
Oh, sure, absolutely, that's definitely possible. And look, when you evaluate the safety position, I look for 3 things. You want instincts.
Yes.
You want athletic range.
Yes.
And then you want ability to hold up and run support.
Absolutely.
Your safety has to be able to tackle.
Absolutely.
Especially as the last line of defense. And Malik Hooker struggled in that area at times, but I think it was more just a case of technique and breakdown skills. It wasn't it wasn't effort. He can do it, but he needs to get better. And that's where Jamal Adams, I think, he checks all those boxes, but he just doesn't have the ceiling that Hooker does in some of those areas.
That's the problem with Justin Evans, I thought. When you talk about tackling,
I don't want a safety that can't tackle.
Yeah, he's got first-round ability.
He's the third-round version of Malik Hooker, basically.
Yeah, he could do all the things you want him to do. He just can't tackle well enough.
No, it's really fun if like a running back never changes where he's going. Justin Evans
like
is going to break
football.
him in half. But if he goes that way or this way, Justin Evans goes there.
And the Aggies fans are so hacked off right now.
I've had a lot of Aggie fans tell me we were right about that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they've seen him miss his fair share of plays.
He missed 130 tackles last year. That's a big number.
Yeah. When they're missing more tackles than you make. Not a premium pick type of guy.
No. We all agree Myles Garrett's the top player in this draft, right?
Yes.
So, there we go, Aggies.
Yeah, there we go.
Next question. Can you I have ADHD. I'll just pick the people that are closest all the time. So can you?
Back middle is what I saw first. Back middle, Reed's got him.
That's impressive.
Well, these eyes are staying strong for me. 2020 barely.
Hey, guys. With Tony Romo the last few years, about Romo friendly. Now he's gone. You have Dak. You think that alters the plan for the draft, as in they're not in win now mode since they have a younger quarterback? Do you think they changed their draft strategy?
Well, the guy won 13 games last year.
Did pretty good. Well, and I think you're always in win now mode in the NFL because most teams think they have a shot before the year starts. And something that's kind of unique with Dak is a lot of teams win Super Bowls in situations like this because your quarterback cost you nothing. As soon as you pay Joe Flacco, as soon as Eli Manning gets $25 million a year, just pick the team.
Seattle's struggling right now with all the money they get in Russell Wilson.
Not having to pay your quarterback is a hell of an advantage. And so I think that they're in a spot. And I don't know that it changes anything offensively. This offense is good. Unless there's an absurd value in one of the early rounds, I don't see how you pick an offensive player. I almost don't see how you deviate from the roadmap: defensive end, corner, safety. Maybe not necessarily in that order. You can move the 3 around, but I don't see how you sort of go away from those 3 spots because that offense is fine. Right tackle, you might look at it and say, if Chaz Green doesn't get hurt, I think he'll be fine. You picked up, what's the guy's name who has a weight clause in his contract that they picked up, which I always think is fun. If he stays in shape, he'll be in good shape.
Oh, Byron Bell.
Yeah, there you go, Byron Bell.
Yeah.
So, I think you're in a win-now mode with the Cowboys, and I think the draft plan is going to be part of that, which is going to be Dak and that offense are fine. They don't need help. The other side of the ball does.
Yeah. They need to figure out a way to restock the defense like they did the offensive line, and then go out and you get the runner, you get a quarterback. I think that's going to be, Will's job. And when they do their stack again, just take for example what they've done with the 30 visits, actually 28 total visits. There were only 2 offensive players that they visited: Samuel from Ohio State, and then
Juju.
And Juju.
Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, Smith-Schuster. So they only looked at 2 offensive guys out of 28 players.
And both are day 2 guys.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
I think they protected themselves a couple of different ways, how they stretched their visits. They're going to, there's some possible, like say, trade back stuff that you get guys that they kind of have in that not really maybe at 28, but if you go into the 30s,
They got a lot of 28. They got some 60. They got some in between.
Yeah.
And then they got a corner that's going in the 7th. So they really mixed it up there with that Deku guy.
Yeah.
Deku right there at the bottom.
Oregon State corner.
And those 2 players, though, Curtis Samuel and Juju Smith-Schuster,
Yeah.
you got to have to ask the question. They fall to you at 60? I think that more that way about Samuel. I think it would be crazy if he's there at 60. And with Smith-Schuster, I could see him falling to the 3rd round. But do you pull the trigger on one of those guys?
How many touches do you have
They're
for
for a
Samuel?
reason.
Yeah, no, it's a visit for a reason.
Yeah.
But how many touches do you have for Samuel?
I can,
Like,
get you,
so-
I can get you 6,
Can you get him
7.
5 carries and 2 catches and a Lucky Whitehead handoff?
Yeah.
Is that-
And Samuel wasn't a returner. He had like 6 returns at Ohio State over his career.
More kickoff returns than punts. I think he only averaged 3 yards a punt return.
Right. So,
Yeah.
look, he has the hands and the athleticism to do it. So I think you can project that. We just
Right.
haven't seen him do it. I think it's more, okay, if they trade back from 28 into the early 2nd, so you have 2 2s and then 2 3s, then I think that's when you start talking about the luxury of adding a Samuel or Smith-Schuster in the 3rd round. But if they stay pat with where they are, yeah, it'd be tough to see one of those 2 guys, because you have to take Samuel at 60 if he's even there.
Yeah.
And then Smith-Schuster, if he would fall to the late 3rd, he's your 4th receiver.
The one thing that helps you with Smith-Schuster is the depth of the wide receivers, as you guys know. That's a pretty deep position. So there's probably some 2nd round guys that potentially can end up in the 3rd round. Now, will they end up close enough to Dallas? That's a whole nother thing.
Where's Smith-Schuster on your board?
We have him in the
2nd guy of day,
yeah,
3rd
round.
So was that like 11th, 12th receiver?
He's the 10th wide receiver.
Yep.
Okay.
Got a problem with that, Dane?
I think I've got 13, 14, something around there.
Yeah.
Let's see some hands. I saw right there first, in the middle, behind the guy in the hat. They're all wearing hats, apparently. Everyone there is wearing hats.
What do you guys see our divisional opponents doing in the 1st round? Is that something that we should be
Hopefully
concerned
not
about?
taking Mixon.
I saw
that
saw
question.
Washington was interested in Jabril Peppers in the 1st round.
I
They can
hope
have
so.
him.
That'd be a great pick.
That'd be
that would
great
be an
for them.
awesome pick
They
for
should
them.
do that now.
think
Run it
that-
up to the podium.
Him and Sua Cravens would be a good combination there at
I don't
linebacker.
know. I don't know if I saw this from. It might have been from you, Dane. But I think at 14, if you're the Eagles and you have a quarterback that struggles to throw the ball downfield, but you kind of picked up some receivers. What if you had Christian McCaffrey as your running back?
It would scare the heck out of me.
Yeah,
I
think
that would
with
make me
Cowboys.
nervous too.
That would be a great pick for them.
It would.
And so
He's everything Darren Sproles is, except a lot more. And he would be the perfect fit. I think Coach Peterson would know how to use him in that offense. I think that's the perfect weapon you want for a Carson Wentz who loves to dump it off.
He'll have 120 catches.
Yeah, that's not an exaggeration. I think he would be. I think he'd be their best route runner from day one, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So what he gives you out of the backfield, put him in the slot, put him outside. That would scare the heck out of me if he goes to 14. But there's a chance he's gone by then. I think Christian McCaffrey could go 8 to Carolina. We could see him somewhere else. And if that's the case, I think Philly. I think they love these pass rushers. I think there's a good chance they go pass rush. Charles Harris at 14. That's where I see kind of where that Charles Harris run could start.
It's a guy you hate, KT.
Yeah,
I hate the guy.
he could go there. What about?
Go ahead.
Are you sticking with Philly?
No, I'm done there.
Worst case for Philly is they get a pass rusher at 14 and they take Joe Mixon in the second round.
Yeah.
That's the worst case if you're a Cowboy fan.
How do you feel about Mahomes at 23 to New York?
That's New York, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
This is a player that's not going to help them this year, maybe not even next year.
See, I don't want them taking Dalvin Cook. I don't want them taking – they didn't have a running game in years.
Right.
So I don't want them taking someone like that. They want to take Pat Mahomes and push another player down to us. Let's do that.
I think New York, because when you watch them play, to me their two biggest issues were the quarterback, and I would actually say he was the second issue because number one was part of the reason for the quarterback.
Offensive line.
That left tackle.
Yeah.
Eric Flowers.
Former top 10 pick.
So like if we are the Giants war room, we're looking around trying to find a left tackle so that we could get Eric Flowers over to right tackle. The problem is we look at this draft and which one of us loves the first round group of offensive linemen. So the Giants might be one of those teams that not only will they push a player down the board for you, they'll do what I think we might consider a reach when they go grab the second or third best tackle to try to address a need.
Yeah.
And I think that's best case for the Cowboys is they go fishing because they need it and maybe the player's not there to warrant it.
That's a great point because we talk about the quarterbacks going earlier than they should and pushing better players. I think you're absolutely right. Same thing with tackle because this is such a weak tackle class. If you don't get your tackle early, you're going to be out of luck.
That's the two spots. I mean, I thought that at 28, if there was a tackle on the board and a quarterback on the board, that might get somebody to come up and get a guy. Those are the two positions. I don't think there's any other positions they would come up for.
Pass rusher, but you're not trading away from
No,
him.
you're not going to trade away from it. If there's a pass rush you like, you're not trading away from it.
I think we'll see 3 tackles go fairly early with Bowles, Ramczyk, and I think Cam Robinson will go early.
See, I'm hearing things about Bowles, though, that people are kind of catching up with his age, his off-the-field stuff.
Not 30, he's like 26.
He'll be a 25-year-old rookie.
Yeah, but they're kind of starting to think about some of the things. He's tried to turn things around in his life, he said.
KT loved police reports.
Yeah.
But those were from a long
people
time
are digging
ago.
in on him, and he might be a guy that's a slider guy. Just talking to some scouts the last couple
and I
of
think
days.
it's going to be a team-to-team thing with him. Some teams will be
Case
comfortable
by
with
case,
it.
yeah.
Right, because you look at his background, it's messy. I mean, he was
It's
out
real
of
messy.
football. It wasn't until he went on a mission that he kind of rediscovered his love for football, was at JUCO for 2 years, and then only 1 year at Utah. But he just got married. He just had a kid. I think that's kind of been his driving force to turn things around. So I think there's a team that with a need at tackle who will believe in that and say, listen, this kid's he's more mature. The fact that he's a 25-year-old rookie, not ideal. You want a younger guy, but you know what? He's going to be more mature because he is older now. I think Bowles will end up going higher than either of us would take him.
He's only been kicked out of school like 6 times, so you got to think he's got it together by now.
That was high school.
Yeah, you're right.
How many times were you kicked out of high school?
And I get the whole, the mission trip and the wife and kids. I hear can change you. I don't know personally, but I hear that can change you.
You need to go do that.
A good bubble night changes KT for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it sure does. Next, and we're going left this time. Or I'm just going to alternate sides so it's fair. Let's go middle. Right in the middle. Sorry. It's very hard to deviate the rows, but
I have a question about Adoree Jackson. Will he be there at 60? I like him a lot. I think he can admit to do special teams right now. Also, you're talking about the carries for Samuel. He can get 4 or 5 carries a game as well, I think, on jet sweeps. And also, this is his first year playing football year-round. He also playing around track, so his upside is really big, I think.
I think at 60 is the spot that you would really like him. I think when we saw the
It ain't
visit,
happening,
Adoree
no.
Jackson is the USC. He plays corner. He's a kick returner, punt returner.
He had 8 touchdowns on special teams.
He's an offensive player every once in a while, and I think at 60 is where that value is kind of right. You look at him; he's one of the guys that's very limited size-wise. Like the way he covers, and I think if you can get him in a spot where he's your nickel and he's covering there on the inside, then he's got a chance to be pretty good at it. The issue would be if you get matched up on bigger guys, as Dane told us when we were watching him, and I was talking about, man, I really like this Adoree Jackson, and Dane tweeted me, he's like, done the Utah game? Did it. They had big receivers.
Tough.
And Adoree got bullied up and down the field, and they picked on him.
The final drive. The pick
So,
on the entire throw.
if you can get him in the
Godwin,
slot.
Godwin from Penn State bullied him, too.
Yeah.
Was another one.
But you get him in the slot, and you get him matched up with the smaller
Yeah.
guys, and he's such a great athlete, and he could be your punt returner, and he could do the Lucky Whitehead stuff probably better. You'd probably upgrade at punt return, gadget guy, and you would have a guy that's, at least athletically, you'd be excited for what he could be as a slot corner. At 60, I think I'd be pretty excited about that.
No
Who would
shot
you
he's
take
there.
between him and Tankersley?
I
know what our
I'm a
board says.
Tankersley guy.
Tankersley.
Yeah.
I love Tankersley.
I would say Tankersley too. Look, there's no way Adoree Jackson's going to fall that far, unfortunately. There's a shot he's gone by 28 because teams love the athleticism. I mean,
Yeah.
and yes, he's undersized, but what he can do on special teams, what he can do as a corner, teams are going to be all over that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not even there at 28.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that the Cowboys like. They brought him in.
Brought him in.
We can't rule him out at 28.
Especially if you go edge at 28. You need a guy at 60 who can play 750, 800 snaps.
Yeah.
Probably in the way people get hurt, and there's questions about Skandrick. You need a body who can be there for you all year long. I don't know if that's,
If they draft 2 corners in this, that you could say maybe goodbye to Skandrick here after this year.
Oh.
Whoa!
Why are we cheering that?
He has a family.
He's not nice to media. He's a good guy. We saw him
I'm
once
just
with
saying,
his kids
I'm
and
just saying,
Dre
when you
out
look
there
at
and had a
money,
great
it's a,
time.
that's a $5 million contract.
Oh, yeah, financial. Yep.
Well, and I think that's,
Business. Yep.
You're right. That's not one of the guys, obviously, that was up this year.
Well, he
that they-
hates me, but that's okay. I mean,
He hates everybody. That's
Yeah.
fine, as long as he goes out there and plays, which sometimes he does, and sometimes he's hurt. But I think, that's part of this team that's sort of due for an overhaul. And Stephen Jones knew that. That's why they let so many people walk. That was part of the plan. And I think
they did.
if you could get, I wouldn't be surprised if they double dipped at corner in this draft. And then you have Anthony Brown on your team. You have Byron Jones, who kind of does a little bit of everything. You got 2 more guys coming up there, and you get younger, you get faster.
I think Nolan Carroll will help you for a year.
I think so
really do.
too.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Brown has really allowed this team to go pass rusher in the first, and they don't have to go corner in the first 2 rounds if the board doesn't follow them that way. And Anthony Brown is the reason why, what he did as a rookie. So I think Anthony Brown deserves a lot of credit for how he's helped this team.
I'd still take King.
Desmond?
No,
Kevin?
Kevin King, yeah.
Take him at 28.
Yeah. I mean, I know you guys are talking pass rushers, but I mean,
And it's so tough. At this time last year, we narrowed it down. Jalen Ramsey or Zeke at this point. A week out.
Well, only 3 people were going before us
That's
last
the
year.
point. Because, the 4th pick overall. This year,
you have no idea who's going.
We
I
talk
think
about.
we have an idea. I just don't know if we. I mean, it's,
I can name
it's
a dozen
5 people. Yeah.
I think it's a lot
You
more
said
than
a
5.
dozen?
Oh, yeah. We talked about how many names tonight where, depending on who comes off the board, if the pass rushers go early, Charles Harris is gone, Watt's gone, Bowser's gone.
McKinley's gone?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, then what are the corners left? What about Obi? As much as
That's safety.
none of us want to see Obi go 28, but
Yeah.
he could.
Yeah.
So I think it's.
The number of guys that the Cowboys could take at 28?
Yeah.
I think it's probably double digits.
I
I
think-
tried
I
to do 2 different
I think
segments
it's
where I was
like
like, I'll
11.
narrow it down to 5. And then I was like,
It's like a dozen.
Can I do 8 or 9?
Yeah.
It's fun.
I'm surprised you guys said a dozen.
Well, because you just don't know how the first 27 picks are going to happen.
Let's go through them. Potential picks at 28 that you think the pick could be. As an edge rusher, I think it could be Tack McKinley.
Mm-hmm.
It could be T.J. Watt.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Charles Harris. It could be Tyus Bowser. Was Derek Rivers a visit? Yeah. I know we may feel like that's too early.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Think about legitimate first
so
round.
4 edge guys.
4 edge guys. We're working to a dozen.
Fabian Moreau, you think that's early?
I think we got to include Malik McDowell as an edge guy, too.
Malik
there.
McDowell.
So that's 5.
You have to add Taco to that mix, too?
No, wait a minute now.
Tease Tabor.
Okay, there you go. Now you're at 6, right? 6 more.
Tre'Davious White.
Why not? Why shouldn't he be included?
Okay.
A
7.
corner that might go around.
Adoree Jackson.
8.
Tankersley.
Not at 28. You know
Okay.
that.
Kevin King.
Well, then don't tell me Kevin King.
Kevin King's a first-round player, and you know that.
Tankersley's a better player.
No, he's
been
not.
a better player his
He
whole
is
life.
not. He's
Kevin
not a better
King
player.
went full Obi on the combine, and suddenly you love him.
You take Tankersley over? Yeah, he's going to say it too. He's going to agree with you.
King?
You take King. You would take Tankersley over King.
No, I would take King.
You're a bad scout. KT. Which one would you take, KT?
When you guys
take
said
Tankersley.
12, said 12,
I don't love Kevin King.
I was kind of thinking, no way, 8, 9, yeah. I think you can narrow it down to that, and I think you stretched on a couple of guys too.
I did. So what? I was trying to win.
All right,
Just
right
mark
side.
your 7 down on the card and go to the next
Right
hole.
up front here. saw the front row first here.
Wasn't 5. You said 5.
Next time on this
Both.
side, it's the guy directly behind this guy. Okay.
Taking a corner in the first, does that force Cowboys' hand in the second to trade up to get an edge rusher?
I don't know if it forces their hand, but I did think of a scenario before you even asked this question. What if a guy like Tack McKinley, who all like at 28, what if he does fall because teams are like, oh, my God, he's still hurt and he might be out for part of the year?
Yeah.
Would you maybe, if you like him that much, because there's a line of thinking here, I like my team, I got a pretty good chance to make the playoffs here. Hey, what if this guy's kind of a difference maker or he's helping out in January? Like, wouldn't you like that? Is that a guy you would consider trading up for?
Isn't this exactly what they did with DeMarcus Lawrence?
It's exactly what they did with DeMarcus Lawrence, and I disagreed with it at the time, and I like the player. So I've talked myself out of it. Thank you, Dane.
Okay. Well, and you have to wonder how that would play in the draft room because, you have mixed results from that trade, and in this draft, you really expect those top 3 picks to be 3 starters, and so can you really sacrifice for a Tack McKinley?
If you took King in the first, would you be happy with Rivers at 60 from Youngstown?
I would.
I would like
I
that.
absolutely would.
Yeah, I loved Rivers last fall. I felt like I was driving that bus, and then all of a sudden he kind of blew up even more, and I handed the keys off. But at 60, I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's your possibility right there. That's your
Maybe
hope.
Basham.
Why do you hand the keys off?
Basham or Rivers at 60.
Jeff,
Basham is the Ohio guy.
I'd go Rivers.
I like the way you kind of explain it, how you're looking for the guy.
Right.
You're not just looking for a defensive end.
Yeah.
So it's not just if you go corner in the first, I don't think you have to go pass rusher in the second because, again.
I think you might not at all.
Right. You're looking for the guy. You're not necessarily looking for a body there. You have plenty of bodies. So even if they do go corner in the first, safety, that's where maybe a Curtis Samuel comes into play at 60. Depending on how the board plays out, there's a good chance a pass rusher is not there for them that they think can be the guy.
Why did you hand the keys off on Derek Rivers? Because look, I used to like the Kings of Leon, and then they got popular, and I hand the keys off on them. I don't like them anymore.
Who'd you hand them
to?
to?
Everyone starts liking them. Why'd you hand the keys off on Rivers? What happened?
First round talk. I mean, I felt like I was driving that bus, and then the Senior Bowl happened, and all of a sudden.
Wasn't very good. The Senior Bowl,
people were catching.
You expected more out of him, though.
Yeah, I think so. But people were catching up to Derek Rivers.
Yeah.
And so I think, he just people try to one up each other, and first round, and that's too high for me. I think he's a good player.
Did you see Moss on the other side? The kid Moss.
Yeah.
It seemed like he made more plays.
The guy that exposed himself in Nebraska and got kicked out. Yeah, that guy.
Okay, let's not red flag a guy.
That makes him a KT guy.
All the facts.
He's stealing my bit over here. That's the only note I had on the guy.
But you'd still take him.
Yeah, it moved him up around.
I think we did put him on our board for that reason. Yeah. Let's go to the West Coast. I saw front first. I'm sorry, back people. I got you. I saw front first. Plus, there's 9 of you, and he was the only one up here, so it was easier for me to decide.
Glad I'm not having to decide this tonight.
But be ready next time.
So, do you kill, or get 2 spots if you were to draft Obi, where you have the versatility to do like a Brandon Browner type role, where he's physical enough to maybe play corner and safety?
I know, Dane, I think you've said, and Brian, maybe you've said that maybe some teams are looking at him that way just because of the size and the athleticism. My problem with Obi is if a guy is a third-round player on tape, I don't want to hear about taking him at 28. That's my problem. And to me, that's what he was on tape. I think we watched him on tape and was like, yeah, if you took him at 92, man, that'd be a fun pick. Look at what he might be. But now you work out like that, and there's some NFL GM somewhere, and Brian, you've talked about this, there's some GM who's the genius in the room.
Huge ego.
Who's just like, watch what I do with this guy. And it's like, okay, well, I'll pick him where he deserves to be picked.
Yeah. I don't know. I think to me, I haven't seen him play corner.
That's
the thing. It's
we
like
saw a little bit at the Senior Bowl, but not enough.
It's kind of like the kid, the Virginia Tech wide receiver, tight end guy,
Bucky Hodges.
Bucky Hodges. Everybody's like, oh, he's a second-round tight end, first-round tight end. I'm like, I've never seen him play tight end.
Yeah.
He's playing wide receiver. He's a big wide receiver. So
runs like
I think that when you start talking about projections, you have to be a little bit careful, especially if you're taking projections really high.
Well, and that's where the private meetings, the private workouts come into play.
Oh,
and that's why
you talked to Byron Jones about the kid. Byron loves the kid, and this is not a Connecticut thing. I mean, he's like, and then he walked through the Star the other day. Holy smokes! I mean, he passes the eye test.
Tall drink of water.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
and-
you're
and
like, yeah. Whoa.
I'm saying, though, that's why teams are bringing Obi in so they can work him out of corner,
Yeah.
see his back pedal, just to change a direction. Because the testing number says he can do it.
Yeah.
But obviously in a game setting, it's much different. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a Byron Jones situation with him where
he lost on some range plays.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
of trying to get, and you're thinking, okay, how's he going to react?
Because
And-
that's it. That's with Melifonwu. That's my biggest issue. Is it doesn't matter how fast you are. If it doesn't click up here first, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how fast you are. You're not going to catch up. And that's why, yes, he had over 350 tackles in college. How many of those were down the field, though?
Yeah.
So there are some issues there, and I don't know. A team's going to
I'm
reach
going to
on
let
that
somebody else be a
athleticism.
hero there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got row 2 over here on this side. We've already got it picked out. There we go.
Remembered.
I want
Be
to
ready.
kind of capitalize a little bit on the TJ Watt question. One, do y'all have any issues with his 2 knee surgeries? And the other, do you think he's going to be able to play with his hand in the dirt? Or is he going to be able to stand up and still play in the Cowboys defense?
They're projecting him as a defensive end.
Right end,
Yeah, he's a right end on their board. I asked that question. Actually asked Marinelli at lunch. So where are you playing Watt? He says playing him at right end. So they think he could put his hands down. I haven't heard anything from the trainers about any injury history that bothers them. There were, like I say, there were a couple of guys I did, the McKinley one, and then also Moreau. But dig in and see. I don't think he was at the rechecks at all. So, and that was last week, the 13th and 14th of April. So I don't think there's any concern there. But talking to Rod Marinelli, he thinks he could play him at right end, hand down, and go.
Dane, what is the beast? What is the Dane Brugler draft guide, which is pinned at the top at DP Brugler on Twitter? Get the draft guide.
Yep.
What does it say about his medical history?
Well, it's something that we don't talk about enough with Watt because he does have injuries, injury past to both knees, missed the entire 2014 season because of that, and then in 2015, that was a big reason why he couldn't get on the field because he's still kind of getting back to 100%. So you're really hoping that what you saw in 2016 is the TJ Watt that you're going to have in the NFL, but with knees, you just never know. I mean, you know that better than anyone. So you have to trust the medical staff on that one. I don't think we know exactly what's going to happen there with Watt, how that could affect his draft stock.
Let's go back this time. One of those guys with their hands up, Reed. You just do it. There we go. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
So we kind of talked a little bit about quarterbacks, and obviously being a Red Raider alum, I had to ask. Mahomes, I see him going to the Cardinals, and talent-wise, he was so talented, his technique, he didn't need it in college. I think that's something he can teach. But I just think I think he has more explosiveness, and that's what you're looking for. And over, Trubisky, which reminds me of Derek Carr.
Ooh.
David Carr.
Right now.
David Carr, excuse me.
Oh,
David Carr.
Well, they didn't block for him. That sucked. Rest in peace, Jared Goff.
Okay, I'm about to say, man, he went after you on that Derek Carr there a little bit, huh?
Man, take it.
David Carr.
I mean, who's the biggest Mahomes fan up here?
I think we all have him as QB1.
You guys have Mahomes as QB1?
Oh, no, I thought you said Trubisky.
No.
No, this is your Mahomes guy.
I think I'm the Mahomes
So
guy.
you take him in the first round?
I mean,
I think he's going to go in the first round. Yeah.
No, he will go in the first round. But
if I need a quarterback, yeah, I
at
do.
13, would you take him? He
If
said
I'm
Arizona. He said Cardinals.
Yeah,
At 13, would you take him?
Arizona is Arizona who's 13? Arizona.
Arizona's 13.
Yeah, because I you know what? As a general manager, I trust Bruce Arians as a head coach. Bruce Arians to me can take. He's taken more players and done well with. I mean, sure, he worked with Peyton Manning. I get it, but he's done stuff with Cordell Stewart. He's done. I mean, he's in his history of taking quarterbacks and making them work. I mean, I would trust Bruce Arians if it was me.
And Mahomes is going to wear the tag of system quarterback. And I do think Arians and maybe Sean Payton are two guys who could maybe get that. And
Sean
make
Payton would love
make
to
it
coach
work.
him.
You know,
Sean Payton would
I think those
absolutely
are
love
two
him.
guys like
They
New
brought him
Orleans.
in.
If they wanted to do New Orleans at 11, if they got antsy and
Now, I'll
said
tell you
I
what.
need to do it, I think those are two guys who can make that work,
But
that style work.
You give me a choice between Mahomes and Watson, I'll take Watson.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do.
So
Now, I love Mahomes.
What's your quarterback order?
Me personally, I had it Watson, Trubisky, Mahomes.
Okay. You might disagree with this, but I think technique is the most overrated part of playing the quarterback position.
Oh, I won a Super Bowl ring with a guy that played with no technique.
And that's as long as you can get the ball from here to there, and you complete the pass. That's all I care about. So I don't care about technique. But with Mahomes, my issue is who's another quarterback at the NFL level who has found success doing what Mahomes does?
Well, what about the guy that just got fired at Chicago? He was a reckless guy.
I mean,
he's had success. The team around him really wasn't all that great.
Is Jay Cutler? I mean, so if you're telling me that you're getting Jay Cutler, Pat Mahomes will beat Jay Cutler in the NFL. You're still taking him first round?
Sure, because I'm betting on the talent.
Okay.
I think they're quarterbacks. They had no idea what the coaches came up with the idea of taking Prescott. Scouts didn't come up with that idea.
Well, okay, but they didn't take him in the first round.
They should have.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But again, we're talking about value.
Was Prescott's technique any good at Mississippi State?
No, that doesn't.
I'm just asking.
No, technique doesn't matter. I just got done telling you, technique does not matter. I don't care about technique.
Okay, you don't care about the technique, but I'm saying it's the ability to get the ball to the receivers,
exactly,
right? And to run the offense and to play within the scheme.
Absolutely.
You don't think Mahomes can do that?
Name me a Texas Tech quarterback who has done that.
That's
what? How?
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. There's a lot of it used to be. I used to never trust Mississippi State defensive tackles. How about Penn State running backs?
Come on.
Well, what are you saying?
There's a big difference between a pass-happy quarterback-friendly system compared to a defensive tackle and what they're asked to do. I'm just saying we haven't seen. I like Mahomes. I would take him in the second round. That's where I would take a chance on that talent. But there's no shot he's getting to me in the second round. So you have to take him probably in the top 20 if you want Pat Mahomes. And to me, that's just too rich. I'm not putting. If I'm a GM,
Who's a better player, Bridgewater or Mahomes?
Bridgewater.
Yeah, I would take Bridgewater. I'd higher grade on Bridgewater.
But what did he do at Louisville?
Threw the ball accurately and didn't backpedal.
What'd he say?
I mean, Pat Mahomes takes a damn snap.
There we go.
Hut. And runs 12 yards this way, but like the play is over by the time he runs a play. It's insane. It's not going to work. No offense. I don't care about his offensive line. The dude takes a snap and backpedals. I've never seen that in my life.
No,
move left, move right, move up.
What do you
throw the
have
ball.
to be able to do in the National Football League? You have to have
move around.
You have
be
to move
athletic.
around. Exactly right.
There's a lot of athletic quarterbacks in this class. They don't backpedal. They
You also
the
have
position.
to be able to read defenses and win within the pocket.
Now you're calling the kid dumb, and that's not true.
No.
You don't.
Whoa! Who heard me say dumb?
You are. You said he's got to read defenses.
He wasn't. He will be asked to do things in the NFL. He wasn't asked to do at Texas
Tech. You
Tech.
think Dak Prescott was asked to read defenses at Mississippi State?
Absolutely. Absolutely, he was. Look,
are you sure about that?
I'm not telling him or saying that he will be asked to do things in the NFL
sure
that he
this?
wasn't asked to do at Texas Tech. That's
How
not calling him dumb.
How did they start off with Prescott at the Cowboys? What were they doing with him? What kind of scheme were they running with him?
Rolling him out
a lot of what he
quick.
did at Mississippi State.
Moving around, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you think you adapt to the players you have? Look, your scheme?
Are we really going to use Dak Prescott as the barometer to
I'm
why?
just saying. I'm talking about an athletic quarterback that's mobile.
Yeah.
That can move around and throw the ball left or right.
And that's great. But, again, we're talking about a first-round player here. Are you really going to bank on Pat Mahomes turning out to be Brett Favre, turning out to be an even better Dak Prescott? I mean,
there are reckless players in this league at quarterback that have success. What about the guy at Seattle when he came in? What was he doing?
He's not that. But Patrick Mahomes is not Russell Wilson.
Better arm. Throws the ball better.
Okay, Jamarcus Russell had a good arm, too. It doesn't really. I mean, arm strength is overrated.
But he had no mobility.
No,
Russell had no mobility.
Again,
couldn't move to throw the ball.
My biggest issue with Patrick Mahomes is he will be asked to do things in the NFL he just wasn't asked to do in Texas. It doesn't mean he can't do it. It doesn't mean he can't learn it. But that is a big jump to make. And that's why in the second round, I would take a chance at Pat Mahomes. No chance he gets there. A team takes him probably top 25.
But you would take Trubisky, who's only played 13 games.
Because I've seen him do NFL concepts.
How many people have played? You said it today on the draft show.
Yeah.
How many quarterbacks have been drafted the first round that played 13 games and had success? Two. In the history of the National Football League.
Because it's rare. We don't see quarterbacks start 1 year and then go to the NFL. It just doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't mean that he can't find success.
Now, 2 is 2 more than the Tech quarterbacks that have.
I think so.
2-0. I think you're just fighting to fight now because you like to do that.
No, I don't.
Stir the pot.
That's okay. You can take your Kinzer guy. That's okay.
Let's go over here. The guy in the hat's already had a question. I'm coming to you in a minute.
By the way, Jeff, remind everybody who you had as your first quarterback last year.
Who was yours?
Well, my guy
good
was
game
in
play
Denver.
right now.
Who was your
Both
guy?
our guys
The
suck.
guy to the
No,
right
who
of the
was
guy.
your guy?
They both suck.
Yeah.
My guy sucks less than your guy.
Let's rewind. I was a Derek Carr guy.
No.
Who'd you
Who was
have?
riding that train? Who was riding that quarterback train? So you're lecturing me on quarterback?
I blacked out. I remember my Derek Carr.
This guy's lecturing me on quarterback play.
Look at this stupid thing on his hand.
Okay.
Brett
Okay.
Favre.
More
Brett
questions.
Favre.
Here we go.
If Pat Mahomes turns
Let's
out to
keep
be a
it
great
moving.
quarterback, I'll be the first to say I was mea culpa.
Let's keep the train moving here. Here we go.
All right, fellas.
I hope you have a quarterback question.
I do actually,
Oh,
because
crap.
I'm live in the flesh Browns fan. So.
Yeah, go Brownies.
You poor
so,
guy.
So I got to know.
This is a question for Dane.
You guys already touched on this a little bit, but if Trubisky and Watson are both available at 12, who are you going to take?
They're taking Trubisky.
Trubisky.
They like Trubisky a lot. Trubisky. I'm taking Trubisky. Trubisky's my top quarterback. I mean, you like Watson better.
Yeah, I'd take Watson.
But Trubisky's.
I worry about Watson when he goes to the league and he's not running the ball 15 times.
Yeah.
And, I just think everything was it seemed so predetermined with him. I don't hate the guy by any means. I just don't know what he's going to be when he's not looking at a sideline and going, snap, quick, let's go. You know, I don't.
How did he play against who we think? You know, every year we talk about Alabama.
Alabama, I know.
Every year, they've got how many first round potential or how many top 3 rounds draft picks does Alabama have on defense?
Probably 11.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'll bite the bullet if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
He's also in
Ohio
those games,
State
he's
was
running the
another
ball
one, right?
15
Did he move the ball in
times.
Ohio State?
It wasn't as good against Ohio State.
But 2 years,
but
2 years against Alabama,
yeah,
right?
Ideally, he's not running the ball 15 times a game in the NFL.
And it goes back to, in the NFL, you have to win from within the pocket, and that's not something you saw a lot, at least consistently with Deshaun Watson. That's where a lot of his picks came. Like you said, a lot of things were predetermined. And look, that's not just on Deshaun Watson. That's yeah. I mean, the college offenses, it makes it tough to evaluate the quarterback position because, again, going back to Mahomes, what they're asked to do at the NFL level is so different. So it's not that they can't do it. We just don't know if they can do it. And so, you know, Watson,
Then
Mahomes,
you should take the Peterman kid from Pitt.
Well, and that's why I think he's probably going to go in the second round when he's a fourth-round player. Because he is well-versed in a pro-style scheme. We know what he can do. He might not be have a high ceiling as a quarterback, but, you know, we know, we've seen it on tape. And that's why, to me, Deshaun Kaiser is so interesting. Everything you want in a quarterback.
Oh, you better jump into this one.
Look, everything you want.
No, I don't like to fight.
Everything you want in a quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser has shown on tape. I can point evidence that he can do it. But there's just no consistency. There's zero consistency. Absolutely, and that's why he's interesting to me because he just turned 21 years old. He's a young kid.
But you kill a guy like Mahomes who actually makes throws.
Because I haven't seen him do it. I haven't that's why I brought it up because Kaiser, I've seen him do NFL things, so I know he can do it. Just no consistency. Mahomes, I haven't seen him do it, so it's harder for me to get on board with him with where he's going to be drafted in the top 25.
I have Peterman ahead of Kaiser. And I get it. To me, Kaiser is the most confusing quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you're right. He's kind of prototype in terms of height, weight, arm strength, athleticism, even some of the instinctual stuff. Like, he's a guy that feels the pocket, moves forward, makes the throw. But you just watch him over and over. The easiest throw in football is taking the snap and throwing it to a wide receiver who hadn't moved yet.
But what college offense
super
doesn't do that?
inconsistent with it.
What offense doesn't do that now?
Well, I don't care about the offense. I care about making the easy throw.
Yeah.
And his go there.
Oh, no,
mostly
the
low.
accuracy's poor.
And then at the combine with no pads on, he's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's the only quarterback struggling to throw a stop route. And I'm just like, who's the guy in college that you watched that really struggled to make the easiest throws in the NFL? It just clicked. And I don't know.
And Kaiser's such an interesting case because the 2015 tape was so much better than 2016 when he had Will Fuller and he had a great run game with C.J. Prosise. He had a left tackle who could protect him with Ronnie Stanley. But, you know, with the 2016 tape, it really confuses it. And you also factor in Brian Kelly was doing him no favors. I mean, Brian
Kelly's killing him right now.
Brian Kelly's coming to the draft to support him, he said.
Well, after he killed him.
After burying him.
I give Deshaun Kaiser a lot of credit for not firing back, saying, hey, you did not develop me. You wanted Malik Zaire to be starting. So I give Kaiser credit for being the more mature one of those two. But, you know, Kaiser, he's really confusing, like you said. But he's interesting.
They're all confusing.
They are. No, and look, I mean, if we're having this conversation about last year's quarterbacks, I mean, what are we saying about Goff and Wentz and Lynch and the Prescott? Yeah, it's the quarterbacks. It's a reason that even the smartest evaluators miss on these guys.
Quarterbacks look good. I mean, wait. Quarterbacks are like women. I overstepped my joke. Quarterbacks are like women. Some of them look good, but they're hard to figure out.
Is that a joke?
How long,
guys? I'll be having my press conference after the show about that joke. So, as many of you know, we're going to go to this side next. After this, this is streaming live to the world. Actually, millions of people watching around the world.
No way, that's
on Facebook Live. Okay, on the 105.3 The Fan Facebook page, and we're taking a couple questions from them as well. Okay. Why not? It makes the in-studio audience mad, but. And the question is, we'll kind of lightning round these real quick, and then we'll go back to the audience here. Does Des King make it to 60?
I'll say yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you take him then.
And then I pick
him. All right.
Wasn't a top 30 visit. That was interesting.
Wow, we would high five if they took Des King.
I think we all
60.
agree he'd be a great pick at 60.
He would be.
What happens with Reuben Foster? Does he drop out of the top 10?
I think, yeah. I mean, I had him going at 11 before this, so, I mean, it's possible I don't know how far he falls.
I think teams have already got an idea what he is anyway, and he might have already be down the board
and he's got,
as it weighs.
He's got some medical stuff, too.
Nick Saban is fielding a lot of calls right now about that kid.
He's there at 28. You take him?
No.
Whoa.
I'm not taking him there.
He hurts people when he hits them, though.
Doesn't he?
Oh, gosh.
He's fun. He's fun.
Yeah, I cringe every time he makes a tackle.
No one's had a worse pre-draft process than Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
Other than Randy Gregory.
Where do you play him, by the way? Will linebacker?
I mean, it's nickel
That's
now,
Sean
right?
Lee's, Sean Lee's spot.
Yeah, but I mean
that's why I'm not taking him, because I think Reuben Foster is a will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're a
We
nickel
just
so
kinda
much
deterred
where
your
it's,
idea,
it's
didn't we?
two guys. I want both of you to be able to run, be able to thump, be able to cover.
Yeah.
And put them next to each other and party.
Yeah, you're playing a lot of nickel. You could get away with that.
Keith O'Brien wants to know Malik McDowell or Tyus Bowser at 28.
That's a good question.
McDowell's a top 10 player.
I'd do McDowell.
What?
We know you would.
I would select
Welcome to my club.
Malik McDowell.
Welcome
you
to
guys
the
are
hookers.
sick.
Welcome to the hooker club.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take a chance on McDowell, but again, there's so much that you worry about there. And Bowser, man, you get really excited where you think Bowser could be a year from now. I think he's probably a nickel rusher in year one, which is now ideally what you want in a first-round pick. But in 2 years, in 2018, you thinking about where he could be, you get excited.
And McDowell, if he wants to play that day, is your best defensive lineman on day one.
Exactly.
Let's go back to the left side, our left. Reed,
left.
Find a guy there. Yep.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for having us here. We haven't spoke on this. I haven't heard anyone talk about this. Is it impossible to double dip at DE? Like, let's say Watt's there and we take him, and then at 60, our Tabor guys are gone, but Rivers is there.
I think if Rivers or Basham or someone like that is there for you at 60, you'd have to consider it. But
I'd do it.
You have immediate need.
Mathis, I heard Mathis.
Mathis is my dude, but apparently everybody tells me he's a bad person and he's hurt. But on tape, he's really good at playing defensive end.
Yeah.
So I'll take him.
It's tough because, I mean, you only have so many spots for these guys, and you want the best 11 on the field.
Well,
So
if Tapper doesn't make the team, I'll get over it.
what's going on with Tapper, Broaddus?
He's out there. I stood up at my desk the other day. He's actually running around on the field.
And he didn't fall
so he's
over and hurt
practicing.
himself?
No, he's not falling on the ground yet.
We can confirm that he's not paralyzed.
Yeah.
Which he was last year with the PARS defect.
Yeah.
He couldn't move. Back to the right side, front row. Like you had a question, right, earlier? Yep. Here we go. We got a mic for you. Hold on one second.
Back a little bit to the quarterbacks. I see
He wants
Watson
Dane and I to
as
kill each other.
being that, like part two. I mean, I don't see a difference from what they did in college. Look like the offenses were pretty much the same.
Well,
Can you say again the quarterback you said? I'm sorry, I was talking.
Watson and
okay.
Dak. I got them like the same player.
Okay.
I don't really see a difference.
I think that's what's most interesting about this class, because when we talk about them and you talk about the top guys, I think you can break down the sort of strengths and weaknesses of every single guy, and for that reason, in this year's draft, I'll bet on whichever one goes to the best situation. Dak came to a great situation.
He did.
And I
Sure
don't want
did.
to understate how much better Dak played than he played in college. His college tape.
Yeah, but
he
all you
wasn't a
need to
first-round
know,
player.
But all you need to know is when scouts went back to Mississippi State and were looking for a 10-win team,
Yeah, they had one.
they had 5 and 4 win talent.
Right.
4 and 5 win talent. So that tells you a lot about him and what he did at
Put
Mississippi
Jared
State.
Goff on the Cowboys and put Dak Prescott on the Rams. I'd be so interested to see how that would play out. You know, it just you do have to wonder about.
It's a perfect situation for a quarterback.
Right, no question.
Yeah.
And so that.
But they set
plays
it
a
up
part.
that way.
Sure.
They knew Romo was long in the tooth, and they were going to have to move on.
That's credit.
They tried to help him with a running back. even.
Credit to Coach Linehan and
Yeah.
Garrett and the staff. But
Yeah.
you know, to your point with Watson, you know, if he goes to say he goes 13 to Arizona, I think that would be a situation where he doesn't have to play from day one. But we know Carson Palmer's going to get hurt, so we're going to see him as a rookie. And I think you go to a situation where he has Larry Fitzgerald to throw to, and that might be a situation that would work out for Watson. He could have a much better chance than if he lands somewhere else. You know, sorry, Cleveland. You know, or somewhere else that's just not going to help him. So, you know, the fit's a big part of it when we talk about these quarterbacks.
So's the coaching. That's what I said about Bruce Arians. I think Bruce Arians has worked with, he's worked with athletic quarterbacks. He knows how to get those guys going.
My guy in the glasses back here at the left. Reed, you got him. Morgan, you got him. Right there. Yeah.
Hey guys. So two-part question slightly. Out of the top 5 projected players, who has the lowest floor, like the biggest bust potential? And also, who do you think out of the skill position players will make the biggest impact in year one?
Skill position.
Does O.J. Howard count as a skilled guy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
O.J. Howard's going to make the biggest.
I think that's a fair.
Yeah,
guess,
you know, last year it was Ezekiel Elliott. You know, you talk about skill guy, but I don't know if these runners. You know, I don't know if they'll have the type of. But O.J. Howard has.
Where they go.
If somebody goes to Philly or Carolina, I think they're going to get a lot of run.
Yeah, but they're going to have
McCaffrey.
1,800 yards or 1,600 yards, whatever they have.
You're only taking Fournette if he's your guy. So he's going to get a chance to produce.
If you're taking a running back top 15, he's going to see a lot of touches.
Yeah.
If you're taking Joe Mixon high in the draft, he's getting a lot of touches.
Probably.
You ain't taking that PR hit for fun.
Right.
So I'm going to pick Joe Mixon.
So yeah, the answer to that question could change, you know, a week from now, depending on fit and where these guys end up. But yeah, I think all those make sense. What was the first part of the question again?
The most likely bust of the top
5 busts.
You know who it depends who goes top 5, but I think
One of the quarterbacks.
I'm going to take
one of the 2 quarterbacks that go in the top 5.
That's a fair point. Outside of quarterback, I would say one of the Ohio State kids, Marshawn Lattimore with the hamstrings, the corner, and then Malik Hooker, because like when we talked about Adams versus Hooker, and Broaddus so eloquently professed how big a fan he was of Malik Hooker.
Yeah.
He's not a complete player.
No.
He's not a Jamal Adams.
You're talking about 2 one-year guys.
Right. He just has a certain skill that is very rare.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's super appealing to people. But he's not a complete player. Lattimore's a health risk. So I think I'd probably take those 2.
What is the expectations for Myles Garrett?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because
Could he have a really good year and not be
Is 5.5 sacks a bust?
Yeah, I
year?
mean that's what I'm saying. Could people get on him for not being, you know, the first overall pick?
Because I think people throw out generational player and
Right.
things like that, and that's just unfair to him because, well, first of all, I don't think he is that. I think he's a very, very good player, but I'm not going to put that type of label on him. So I think that if he does go number 1 overall, there's just a different expectation there.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I think Myles Garrett deserves.
I mean, he could
Oh,
have.
what am I doing? Solomon Thomas. Solomon Thomas is my number 1. I take it all back. The 270-pound defensive tackle. I'll take him. He's a local kid, so I love you, Capel, or wherever he
That's
plays.
interesting because others are calling him a safe pick.
Yeah, okay.
I
would
I
be
think
thrilled
he is.
about him at 2, but
I mean, if Solomon Thomas
15, I'd be like, all right.
Solomon Thomas is 15 pounds heavier, you really like him that much more?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to me, that's not too much.
Aaron
of a
Donald
difference.
like?
Right, but Aaron Donald is in the upper 280s. Jonathan Allen is in the upper 280s, and they play like monsters. They play like they're 320. Solomon Thomas is 270 and plays like he's 260.
Well, I mean, I think he's
20 years old though too.
Yeah,
No, he could be really good. I'm just saying, like he's one of those guys that people are projecting this. They're not lining him up at defensive end because they saw him kick butt at defensive end. They're lining him up at defensive end because he measured like one, and he was really good at beating guards in space.
the way Seattle uses Michael Bennett. I think a team uses Solomon Thomas that way.
That's fair.
I think he can be a Pro Bowler. I mean, where you line him up inside, you put him in the B gap, put him on.
Make a one gap player.
Yeah, I mean, on the outside shoulder of the tackle, he can
Three
do
technique,
that.
yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just move him around, play him to his strengths. He's going to get better. Only a redshirt sophomore, so young. I would bet on Solomon Thomas, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, that's why it's a one-player draft. It's Myles Garrett, and then everyone wants to trade down.
Yeah, it's
because I want a
you're not
bunch
wrong.
of picks in the top 100.
Yeah,
because there's starters everywhere. How many superstars are there?
Right, and that's why we see trades every year, but this year it's going to be interesting to see how many trades we see. And
going down.
Well, the quarterbacks are different, obviously. Because the quarterbacks, that drives the draft discussion, and if you don't get your quarterback, you're going to be left without a chair. So,
if you like your guy, never mind. Let's do the next question. It's not worth.
Oh, another joke?
It's not worth. No, it's not a question. But if you like your guy, then you better get way up there.
Yeah.
Let me say without saying too much. If you like your guy, you better make your trade to get up there. We saw it happen last year where Philadelphia moved up to 2 and won 2. If you like your guy, you better get up there. Otherwise, he's going to be gone. I think Bruce Carter jersey guy. Is that a Bruce Carter jersey?
Nah.
Okay. Well, who's the other guy behind you? Okay.
So I'm looking for a Lucky Whitehead replacement for the second year in a row. Last year, Dane talked about Jakeem Grant. I think you guys talked about a guy from Georgia on the podcast.
Oh, McKenzie.
But other than him, who would you guys look to get a Lucky replacement?
That's my one. Why do I have to pick another one? That's the only one I got.
Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson. would be
Yeah,
the
but
guy.
these are all really early.
Yeah.
Like, who is it? Is there a guy?
What about your guy from Georgia?
McKenzie.
Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I need to pay attention now.
So then, like the tough. Here you go, Dane. Dane has 36,000 players ranked. Give me a guy on day 3 that can be the
What
gadgetary.
about Pumphrey?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
he's a running back. Is he?
Yeah, oh no, you could.
We got to fill the Dunbar hole too, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But
he's legitimate.
Pumphrey's another guy that we don't know for sure. I mean, he didn't return. He wasn't a returner in college. We saw him do it a little bit at Senior
Bowl.
But
I was
again,
scouting him up.
if you're going, because you probably have to take Pumphrey 4th or 5th round.
Yeah, that's why I mocked him to the Cowboys in our magazine.
And so
That's why I'm taking North Carolina A&T there in the 7th.
Cohen.
Tariq Cohen.
That's my guy.
Oh man.
I
so
think
fun.
that's a great name. I mean, he's 5'0", but good luck tackling him.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's
he's
the
awesome.
thing. Why is that a knock?
No,
You tell 6'3" people
Well-
they got to tackle a 5'6" dude and see how happy
I
they
should
are.
put it this way: he's 180.
Son of a bitch is just.
He's
what am I gonna
180
do?
pounds. Put it that way.
He's strong here. He got a good
Yeah.
butt.
I tell you a player I like who could be that Lucky Whitehead, Rodney Adams from South Florida. Have you guys looked at him?
I have.
Yeah, he's to me he's like the ideal 5th receiver on your team.
Yeah.
He can stretch the field vertically. He can make an impact on jet sweeps, and he can be a returner. So I think Rodney Adams in the 6th
What
round.
about your guy Galladay?
Oh, I love him. Galladay from Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois, yeah.
Give me him in the 4th round, but he's not that Lucky Whitehead. I mean, he could.
But he runs the jet sweeps and
he
stuff
could
like that.
do it, but he
Catches the ball well.
He's 6'4",
Yeah, he's
215, more of the lanky guy. I don't know how much he's gonna be doing that in the NFL, but I mean, Rodney Adams, he's not a small guy either, but I think he could play that
Yeah.
role.
Back to this side over here. We had question. Yeah, we got 2 guys there. Reed. Yeah, just find one. There we go.
I've heard many people gush over Dak Prescott and his performance during his rookie year. My question for y'all is, how high of a ceiling does he have, and do you feel like he's going to have a better career than Tony Romo?
Oof.
Hey, what? Why are we doing that again? How about this? Like the spring of hate Romo. You ever watch?
It's a what have you done for me lately type of business, man.
Yesterday, I accidentally took a nap at 8 o'clock. Woke up at midnight. That screws up your night. So I ended up at 3 a.m. just staring at my laptop, and at NFL had tweeted out every Romo 4th quarter comeback. You just watch that dude play and appreciate the magic he did. Holy cow, he was awesome. I've had enough of the hate. How high is Dak Prescott's ceiling?
Yeah, I'm the guy that seems to like the athletic quarterback that coaches work with. I'll tell you what, and watching him work today, he was out on the field with Kellen Moore and then Linehan and those guys. I think that he understands that teams are they've got tape on him now. I know that sounds kind of funny to say, but he realizes now, and if you look at this Cowboys schedule came out, the first 3 games, Giants, Denver, Arizona, you're going to figure out real fast those 3 defenses. I mean, the Giants.
Two on the road, right?
Yeah, 2 of them on the road. And so having to go to Denver. I mean, we're going to see real fast about with Dak Prescott. You know, the pieces around him, I think, really help. But I think Dak Prescott's got room. I think he's got a lot of room to develop. I really do. I think where he has to develop is what Dane was talking about, though, is the being in the pocket as a pocket thrower. We've seen what he can do on the edges, left. I haven't seen a guy throw the ball to the left like he does. Throws the right, you know. But he's got to develop as a pocket passer, and you know that's why it's so important for this team with Martin and Frederick, and you know Collins now back at guard, to keep that front of that pocket clean to let him be able to throw the football. So that's the one thing I know, talking to guys, you know, Wade Wilson and those guys, that they want to develop him better at, of him throwing from the pocket and being that guy. So I think he's tremendous ceiling for him. But again, there's things he's going to have to work on. And now you got defensive coordinators that do have some tape on him.
Someone threw out on Facebook Live, would you consider D.D. Westbrook as a replacement for Lucky Whitehead?
I got to figure out
how bad it is.
Lots of things.
He's got a little bit of a rap sheet, too.
Yeah.
I don't think he's on their board.
Tape's good.
Yeah. He won't be on a lot of boards.
Yeah. I think we'll be going through the draft, and we'll all be kind of sitting there thinking, oh, D.D. Westbrook, Bill, if you really know the story, then I don't think he's on the boards.
And when he was starting to really heat up in October, November, I texted a scout and said, man, this Oklahoma guy, man, there's something to him. And he texted back, he just said, he's a different cat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of a different.
And we were at the pro day, too. We went to Oklahoma. We went to Norman for the pro day, and I didn't get the vibe that a lot of people were interested in visiting with him.
No, he's just he's a different dude, and I don't know how that's going to gel. I mean, he'll be drafted probably, but just not nearly as high as maybe we thought he could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we got a question on this side. I think we've already got the microphone.
Oh, yes. What do you think the chances are that they pick a linebacker in the middle rounds, or will they put their eggs in the Jalen Smith basket?
Oh, I got a guy.
Oh, he's really excited.
This is great. I got a guy. Middle rounds. My favorite thing in the world is dudes who are just too small. Not OU.
Oh, yeah. No, he's going to be not OU.
Blair Brown.
Yeah.
Blair Brown's great.
OU.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio University.
Oh,
I'm an Ohio guy.
University,
OU
yes.
to me
OU.
is Ohio.
Yeah. Little Blair Brown. That's my dude. If you could go, if you're talking about, and I don't know, how high can he go? Because when you watch him play, okay, it's Ohio University.
Mac.
And okay,
We were talking about Basham.
He's under 6 foot. Well, I mean, so there's a couple of things. The school, and then he's a guy that's under 6 foot.
Watch him against Tennessee.
Yeah.
You watch him against anybody.
Yeah.
The guy is a missile. He
Makes every
diagnoses
tackle.
quickly. He's off of blocks, whether it's around him, whether it's off of him, and he's tackling everybody.
Yeah.
The dude looks amazing.
Blair Brown.
Last year we talked about an Akron linebacker, Jatavis Brown. No relation.
No
but,
relation.
Talking about undersized MAC linebackers.
San Diego, right?
Yeah, San Diego took him to, I think, the early fifth round.
Yeah.
And I don't
Made
think-
every tackle.
The NFL is not going to make the same mistake with Blair Brown. They're not going to let him fall that far.
Tape's too good on Blair Brown.
But to his other
Really is.
question, I mean, what about linebacker for this team? You think it's possible?
Well, they really want to see what they have with Mark and Sacha. But that's as a Mike linebacker. You don't know what you're going to get with Jalen Smith. That's another situation right there in itself. They're trying to find a Sam linebacker. Damian Wilson was the guy as a starter. I think he's going to be the starter again this year. So, depending on what happens at the Mike with Smith, still going to have Sean Lee at the will. But they want to look at the Mark and Sacha and those guys and see what they got in Wilson and let them play before they probably address that. I'm not saying they won't take a linebacker, but I think they like the young linebackers they got and they want to see if they can develop somebody.
Other side, over to Reed. There we go.
If the Cowboys take a corner early, first, second round, whose spot would they take? Would it be Scandrick or would it be Anthony Brown?
I think that guy would come in and be your third or fourth guy to start out with. I don't think they would go in there and throw immediately a rookie in there. At least you wouldn't see that at OTAs and then getting in the training camp. But they will find ways to get a rookie on the field. Like I say, they run plenty of nickel packages, plenty of dime packages. The problem you're going to have to figure out, though, is when you put somebody in like that, a young guy, is he smart enough to adapt? You play inside, there's a lot of things you have to learn because the receivers get a two-way go there. And when I mean that, play inside, you have to cover everywhere. And when you play on the outside, you can kind of use the boundary to help you out there. But I feel like, though, that they're not immediately going to take whatever guy at 28 they draft. if it's a corner, and just throw him into the mix. I just don't see that right now. Now, as we get through OTAs, mini camps, and then into the training camp, it might be a different story about seeing the amount of playing time you're going to get for a guy.
Which guy would it be? Because like, if you take a corner at 28, you'd surely be disappointed if he's not starting week 1. Probably Anthony Brown, right? Or maybe Nolan Carroll.
Yeah, well, Nolan Carroll's probably going to start at right corner, and we'll see what they're going to do with Skandrick playing on the left side. And then Anthony Brown would be would play left corner when they kick Skandrick inside. So
let's say you have Tease Tabor on the roster. You picked him at 28.
Yeah, Tease Tabor's got to prove that he could be better than Anthony Brown. That's what he's really, I think, has got to do. Now, it might be, Skandrick gets banged up, though, too. He might not practice, so now Tease Tabor's taking some of his reps, and we'll just see how that goes.
Anthony Brown kicks in, put Tease outside?
Outside, yeah.
All right, over here. Got some in the back. I got a guy in the front, too.
When the fourth quarter or when the fourth round closes, is there anybody that you have your fingers crossed for that'll just keep dropping all the way to the 6th?
I think Cohen is my guy, that little tiny running back.
NC State.
Because if the Cowboys want, Darren McFadden being your other running back, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy. He can take the ball. He can kind of do everything. But I would look for somebody that could maybe hit you some home runs, and maybe when Zeke's not on the field, you've got a receiving threat that after the catch is hard to deal with. That would be that's my day 3 guy.
You're talking about fourth round. You're talking about the back of the fourth round as well.
Yeah.
Last year we were talking about 2 picks in the fourth round, a guy up front.
Or are we talking day 3 in general?
Day 3,
maybe as it gets late.
Yeah, and that's fair. How far are some of those defensive line guys? If say you go back to the defensive line, someone like a Dwayne Smoot, is he gone 3rd round?
See,
does he make it to you in the 4th round?
See, that's what I'm saying. I got we have Smoot on the board in the 3rd, and then you're kind of now. Rochelle was a guy that we liked from Notre Dame. Was a guy. I mean, if you're talking about it as a defensive end, now are you looking at those running backs though? Are you saying, okay, maybe the value there? We talked about Pumphrey. Hunt was another guy. Kareem Hunt from Toledo. Cohen was a guy you mentioned. Mack would be another guy if you're looking for a running back. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of looking. Maybe they even start talking about maybe a one technique. Maybe some of those one techniques that we had that were pretty high guys. One techniques guy plays between the center and the guard right there. It might be.
What about a guard?
What
if Lyle Collins isn't what we expect him to be?
I'll tell you. I think
maybe you need a left guard. I think we're
going
going to miss Ronald Leary.
Yeah.
What about
but see, this is what you said with
Asiata,
Bell.
maybe?
This is with
kid
Bell.
from Kutztown, Jordan Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Big
Jordan
fan of him.
But you talked about Bell earlier. This might be where you see Bell play at guard and they kick Collins to tackle. They didn't want to do that, but now that they got Bell, this might be where they keeps them from doing that, where they just say, okay, we're going to put a 330-pound guy in at guard and kick Lyle Collins out to right tackle and see what we got. Keep an eye on that.
After you make your pick at 4, a few players that I'm kind of crossing my fingers fall all the way to 6. Jeremy Couture, the corner from Middle Tennessee.
132 pounds.
On a good day, yeah. If he just ate a cheeseburger. Once he gets a nutrition program, I think he'll be okay. Coutre's one. Dylan Cole, linebacker from Missouri State. He's another one. Really like him.
Who's the Brown kid from UCLA? The
Jayon
Brown.
Yeah.
I've got a 3rd-round grade on him. So
could he be a dropper because he's a 6 foot, 231-pound guy?
Undersized, yeah.
Yeah.
How about an edge guy? How far could you get a guy like, say, Trey Hendrickson, the Florida Atlantic guy? Tape's not awesome to me, but the workout.
I remember your comments when we watched this tape.
Right, but the workout surely was for coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
How far does that go?
I'd bet he has a better chance of going top 100 than falling.
There's a lot of guys
5th or
that like
6th.
him.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're talking about pass rush.
Yeah.
Pass rushers will always be overdrafted. But yeah, I think there's plenty of candidates in this class for sure.
Any receivers do anything for you?
Chad Williams, Grambling.
You said him earlier, I know. Yeah, he had a great Senior Bowl.
Great Senior Bowl. We didn't look out of place.
Yeah.
Ishmael Zamora, if you don't keep any animals in the building, the Baylor receiver.
You just can't do that to a dog, Jeff. You just can't.
I'm just saying.
I think a lot of Baylor people might throw out Katie Cannon as well while you're on the Baylor thing. I mean, I don't know. There's not a terrible need for wide receiver.
Well, and this
Nothing
team
crazy that really excites me in the 4th round, but
exactly this team, you're looking for a 4th or 5th receiver that could be more, and so I think you're looking for upside. Noah Brown, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Another one of those
Mike
guys. that,
Brown.
you know,
He reminds me of a poor man's Des
Josh
Bryant,
Malone.
really.
Yeah.
The way he looks, runs routes.
At that point, you're not looking for guys that are going to help you necessarily from day one, but
traits.
Yeah, exactly, traits.
Got to go back to this side. We have any more over here? If not, I got a guy in the front row right here who's
Man,
ready to rock.
Rest in peace to the left.
Guy right here, number 2, right here. He's ready to rock and roll here.
Broaddus, what is next week like for a scout? And then can you kind of walk us through the different draft days, your role, the priorities that you have, and kind of what's the war room like? I know that's probably the most intriguing part for fans during the draft.
I wish you all could spend 3 days in a draft room. You'd have a blast. Because the work that you do to get it to that point, Dane and I going at each other about a quarterback, and making, you don't take it personally, but you fight for what you believe. And that's what's going on right now. And I think Will McClay's done a really nice job. He works in a triangle over there at the Star. The Joneses are in the top of the triangle. The scouts are on the bottom, and then the coaches. So he's always in the middle. He's always got somebody hating him. The coaches hate him one day, scouts hate him another day. So he's always trying to work that. I think he's done a really nice job. So that's what you get your board together, and they're pretty close to having this thing done. And then next week is really about kind of fine-tuning anything. The medical information comes in. We're getting the information now about failed drug tests and stuff. The league was going to hold that drug test thing until the bitter end. They don't want that getting out, So now you're going to have to deal with that. You're calling these players during the week. You're kind of making sure everybody's okay. I used to, when I was in Green Bay, Ron Wolf used to have to call all the players on the board just to make sure that they had been not in any car accidents or anything like that. You call your buddies around the league, make sure their phones are working, when your draft day trades and all. So, yeah, pretty much by the time you get to next week, the hay's all in the barn. It's just a matter of just kind of wait until that day. The easiest part of the whole deal is actually the draft, because you've done all the work. If you've got your board right, you've got your stacks straight, then it's just a matter of taking those guys. There's very few discussion. I mean, if you watch War Room Cam on DallasCowboys.com, there's a little bit of discussion of what's going on. It's not about okay, take this guy over this guy. It's about, okay, once again, we're getting this from this player. And so, yeah, but it's a really exciting time. I've enjoyed, I've been doing it since 1992 of being in draft rooms and stuff, and but being in the media stuff now has been a lot of fun seeing it on the outside, but understanding what goes on in. And once you get the board set, it's the greatest feeling in the world, because, like I say, the draft is really easy to do.
So we got about 8 minutes left, so we're going to kind of rapid fire this thing. So get your hands up and maybe keep them up for the microphone holders. And
you have to go all the way up, though, because you might get tired. You can just kind of leave them a little bit.
Here we go.
Are there any day 3 tight ends that we should keep an eye on?
Great question.
There's a bunch.
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
Such a great tight end class.
Big wide receivers.
Who's your favorite day 3 tight end?
Is Kittle day 3?
Probably.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I like a tight end who knows what tight end means.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to line up here with the lineman.
Right.
And I'm going to punish that guy. I like that. And they
you
ran a 4-5.
You want me to catch? Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that too.
What about Gerald Everett? Does he make it? South Alabama guy, does he make it to day 3? Because I like him as maybe 4th.
I think he's too good of an athlete.
Yeah.
Probably goes 3rd.
But I think he blocks a little bit. I think he does a little more than just get in the way.
Yeah.
What about Jeremy Sprinkle? Does stealing from Belk during the Belk Bowl knock you to day 3?
Gave him a gift card, and he still took it.
You could argue that he's maybe the best all-around tight end.
Yeah.
Because what he can do.
I was going to bring him up, and then
as a blocker
and then
and
you jumped in
receiver.
with the Belk stuff. But yeah, you watch him play, and he's an inline tight end. I mean, he's a guy, but they have a little bit of the inline tight end with Rico Gathers. That's what they're developed him as, that kind of a guy. So. I just don't see them. If they go tight end, I think it's going to be after the draft. I think Jerry and Steven and them are going to say, okay, let's go get one tight end, and it'll be probably in college free agency if they go get one.
Next question, whoever has the microphone. There we go.
Real quick, guys, I just had a question. With the past issues with the Cowboys not taking quarterback seriously, and now they're transitioning with Dak after Romo's retired, do you see them at least looking at quarterback, and if so, who would you rather them draft, or who do you expect them to draft?
I think Broaddus has the best answer, because I think we asked you this the other day, and it was they could take a guy late, But when your backup quarterback has the offensive coordinator going to bat for him every day of the week, he probably gets to make it.
Yeah.
And that's Kellen Moore's story. The offensive
Yeah.
coordinator loves him.
Yeah, that he has a sponsor. There's no doubt about that. With all the things happening, me personally, if I didn't have, I wouldn't be opposed to taking Peterman. And I know you talked about the second round.
Yeah.
But if he was there at 92, I wouldn't be opposed to taking him there. I really, really wouldn't. And but I come from a system in Green Bay where we drafted quarterbacks every year.
You should.
I one time went on a field where we had Brett Favre, Mark Brunell, Ty Detmer, and Kurt Warner were our 4 quarterbacks on the field.
How did you guys cut Kurt Warner that year?
He cut himself.
Wow.
He didn't want to go in and throw. We tried to get him to throw drills. He wouldn't. Steve Mariucci. Yeah, Steve Mariucci.
Said no?
Yeah, he didn't want to go throw drills.
Why?
I don't know. He was scared. He really was scared. He was nervous.
Huh.
Yeah, Steve Mariucci asked him. Steve goes. He called him Pop. Okay, Pop, get in there. No, Coach, I'm good right now. And he
I'm
did
good
this,
right now.
He did this for 2 days. He did this for 2 days, and we had a personnel meeting. And Steve goes, and Mike Holmgren said that he goes, hey, Steve, what's wrong with Warner? He goes, he just doesn't want to throw now. He doesn't want to throw drills. So he went off and worked at a grocery store and played for the Iowa Barnstormers, and then got in the Hall of Fame.
Now he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. But that's that. He was our 4 quarterbacks we had at our rookie mini camp were those guys. And so I came from a system of you draft a quarterback every year, and whether you use them or not, that's you can move them on. Matt Hasselbeck was that way. Was another guy you move on that way. We got a 3 and a 5 from Mark Brunell. You draft a quarterback, you move them on. So, I just don't see the Cowboys doing something like that. But I sure would consider it every year.
Patriots do it. And if they wanted to give up Garoppolo, they get a lot back.
Let's not do a pick. Let's just do, Chad Kelly. Undrafted, crazy guy, probably has a machine gun on him. We don't waste a pick on him. He falls out. Machine gun Kelly falls out.
We want to give Deshaun Watson credit for beating Alabama twice. Look what Chad Kelly did against Alabama.
Absolutely. I'm going to use I'm good right now for anything I don't want to do, just like Kurt Warner did. Hey, go pay your phone bill. I'm good right now.
No, it was incredible. He's on the field and like Steve's trying to put him in, and he doesn't want to throw the drills.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
More questions. If we don't, we have 4 minutes left. If we don't, we'll hang out with you in the hallway and we'll answer them for you. So
what's for all 4 of you guys? Just quick. What's your nightmare scenario day one? What just you don't want to happen? We had the Jalen Smith thing cause a lot of panic last year. What's the one thing you don't want to happen on day one?
Obi Melifonwu.
That's what I
Obi Melifonwu. Well, no, I would take that back. Jabril Peppers is my worst nightmare.
Yes.
Because he's terrible. Obi Melifonwu is my worst nightmare because he's a strong safety that in a year where you can get a strong safety starter maybe in round 4, you would be taking a workout warrior who moved up. Maybe he didn't move up 2 full rounds for everybody. Maybe some people liked him more. You moved him up a round if you're taking him in round 1.
Right.
And that's scary to me.
I wouldn't want them taking Charles Harris if Watt and Tack were on the board, too. I wouldn't want them taking Harris there.
Yeah.
More.
I like Brad Kaya a lot out of pads, and I love Chad Kelly in pads. Which one would fit better for the Cowboys? And then quickly after that, could Ryan Switzer be a potential Lucky Whitehead replacement in the later rounds?
I think Ryan Switzer's kind of a clone of a guy that you have.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes it tough. But as a punt returner, he had 7 punt returns, one shy of the NCAA record.
He's an electric player.
No, the problem is somebody's going to value him a lot more than that. Because
Probably.
he's going to start somewhere in the slot and return punts.
If you're going to draft him in the 4th round,
Right.
then you need to put him on the field more than just a return man. So, but Brad Kaya,
Kaya, if the pocket's completely clean, he will wow you. If he has to move or gets any type of pressure, it's close your eyes. I just don't see a guy. Maybe he can work himself out of that, but I just don't. It bothers me though with the pocket presence, and when he has to move or he has to do anything where he feels pressure, then it's a big problem for him.
What would you consider the better response to pressure? The way Kaya does it, or threatening to shoot up a club with an AK-47? The way Chad Kelly responded to pressure.
Yeah, I don't know about the Chad Kelly
Don't
thing.
forget about going back to your old high school and going on the field and fighting someone. Don't leave that out of the mix either.
Or the apartment
complex thing where he hit the beauty pageant girl. Oh, man, that guy's got a track record.
But he's Jim Kelly's nephew.
With Kai, yeah. With Kaya, it takes a long time for the ball to get out to the numbers. I mean, he is not of a strong arm.
I wish he would have went back to school. I mean, he could have learned so much more under Mark Richt in Miami. But you know what? Hopefully he gets goes to the right system and has a chance.
He'll probably play 12 years as a backup somewhere. Yeah. Never have to play. Yeah.
All right,
Man,
two
that's my
more.
dream job.
Two more. Then we'll close it down, and then if you get some more outside, we'll talk to you.
Questions?
Oh, she's going. Give it up for Morgan, everyone.
Yeah.
And Reed and Steven.
Yeah.
Give it up for Dex up here, rocking it out. Our video guys, Adam. You guys are killing it.
Hey guys, real quick, if something catastrophic happens on day one and Reuben Foster falls in your lap at 28, then what do?
Dane said no.
Well, he's a will, and we already have a will. To me,
a will linebacker with Sean Lee. Yeah.
Right.
You pick up the phone though and say, "Hey, anybody want this guy? He's really good."
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Well, why didn't he go in the first
like
27?"
You know you want him Cleveland at 33.
There's medical issues. There's obviously this failed drug test. And a failed drug test in the combine is more of an IQ test. I mean, you know it's coming.
You know it's coming.
What would you do? Why
well,
you let that happen?
Doesn't it change your whole NFL life? Like, Brian, if you come in and you're not in the program, you got one weed test a year. If you come in and you're in the program, which he now is, what do you have?
Test you anytime they want.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Last one for
because everybody in the league smokes.
Last one for the indoors portion of the night.
Thoughts on the late round wide receiver Malachi Dupree?
Okay, this is great. This is great right here.
You three got this.
Okay, so Dupree is not on our board. LSU. He was not on my board, and I will speak for us three now. He was not on our board.
I'm an LSU alum.
He's so slow. He is so slow. I'm not fast, so it's really hard to justify me saying that. He's so slow.
It's really weird because I saw somebody sent me like his Spark numbers from high school, and he was a 5-star recruit and supposedly a phenomenal athlete. I watched him play. I'm a more explosive, better route runner than him, and I'm 32 with 8 knee surgeries. So, like, people are like, well, what are the positives? And I was like, I don't know. If you have one, send it to me.
He's not very consistent overall, though.
No.
That's the thing. You see the ball goes his direction. And trust me, I live and die with that team down there in Baton Rouge. And there's times where I thought, man, just catch the ball.
Why is he mad at the ball? He's
he just, he doesn't come up with enough big plays. And you're looking at his size, and you're thinking, like KT says, the route running, he's not quick. He gets knocked around, and he's not consistent catching the football. I don't know how you justify having a guy. Okay, if you look at things late, I always tell you look for traits. Look for something. I can't find a positive trait about him that would make me want to draft him at any point in time.
At the wide receiver position, you need guys that can do two things. Get open and catch the ball.
Right.
And he just doesn't do either with any consistency.
Not at all.
He'll make some flashy plays in the bowl game against Louisville, but there's just
got
not
his
enough,
helmet ripped off,
not enough consistency on tape for me to draft him.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the deal. If you still have some questions, we'll hang out with you out in the lobby for a little bit, but we should close this down. Just because we got some people working here tonight, they're videoing the thing like Dex up here. Everyone's running around with the microphones and all that stuff. But thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you
guys. Give it up for Dane Brugler right now. Dane Brugler, future NFL GM. Give it up for Dane. My God, give it up for Bryan Broaddus.
Thank you.
Good Lord.
Thank you very much.
Look at this guy, Bryan Broaddus.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in and this sort of thing. As we all know that got the draft coming around. Their schedule was released. Got a lot of things on the table. Got a lot of things to ponder and think about as far as this 2017 year. But let's get ready for next week. That's been the time for today. And remember, you guys have a good night and a better tomorrow. I'm out. Peace.